All right. So I'll be off and on. Kelly's gonna start the after hours. There's something she wants to talk about, and then we'll go to anything goes afterwards. She wants to talk about Kaitos. Kaitos? I have no idea what that is. I'm so out of loop. Hey, how's it going, Fly?
Hey, Yvonne, you look a little alone.
Yeah, it's fine.
How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Hard day at work, so it might be a few minutes before I actually come on.
Sure, no problem.
But I'm gonna hang out with you till somebody else shows.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. And then we can still try to learn our Norwegian.
My wife is part Norwegian. Her mom is Norwegian, so I guess I could always learn Norwegian. I'm probably not.
It's fun to learn many languages.
Yeah,
I'll say you.
I know I'm bad at it, so I'd rather reserve learning other stuff. That's my take on it. Heck, I'm not even that good at Korean. Um, in Korean, I have this. So my parents are from Busan, Korea,
Hmm.
and I guess it's a funky dialect. And I
Yeah.
learned the sad and hard way that when I talk in Korean, people laugh at me. It's like think of it as like a hillbilly dialect in
Okay.
the U.S. So and not to mention that I'm also from Texas. Good thing I didn't have like a Texan accent. Hi, Kelly.
Yeah.
The only thing I carried over from living in Texas is saying y'all, and kind of weaning off of like, could I get some Coke? And they'd ask me what kind of Coke, and then they gave me a Coke, and no, I wanted like
Hey, Kelly.
Sprite Coke.
Hello.
Uh,
Who
Before
else
you,
is there? I can't.
oh, that's the Fly.
Oh, hello.
Okay. So
Actually, hey, which is your Twitter, if you don't mind me asking on air? The
yeah, I
Fly?
don't.
It's
Dominant.
fine. Oh, okay.
Or I'm sorry, Primal.
Okay, I thought so. I was just trying to piece together. Okay.
Trying to remember which one I contacted you with.
Oh, okay. You're mysterious.
yeah, I got that idea. So Kelly, I'm giving you host controls. You got the comm.
Okay.
So Michael's there to help you.
Michael.
So basically,
Yeah.
you've got hi Michael. You've got participants. So
Hang
at
on
the
a second.
bottom,
Take it off then so you can hear. We'll
so
do
at the
that
bottom you have participants. If you click on that, that gives you pretty much master controls. So the best time to use that is anytime, but particularly if someone's sharing a screen, you can actually go ahead and stop the screen share. You can kick people out just by right-clicking on them from here, or and you can also lock out the meeting by click on the very bottom right. I think there's like more, and then from there you have additional controls. You can also kick people out from the main screen by just right-clicking on a person and from their screen or their phone, and you can either mute them, you can stop their video, or you can remove them. So you have all those options there.
Hang on one second. Michael, what are you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know that we got that. I hate to ask you to repeat it, but he's messing with the sound. So
Okay.
what that was we were having trouble with the sound output or input, excuse me. Okay, so wait, where Michael, can you pay attention here?
So at the
Where
bottom of the screen, there's a couple of icons. There's invite,
right.
participate, share screen, chat, and record. So on the bottom, you want to click on participants.
Right. Okay.
So this is really handy, especially when there's share screen going on, and you don't have controls to kick anyone. You can kick out by removing them on this screen. Just right click on their name and just you can remove them. And on the bottom, from the second from the right, I can't see it. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah.
You can stop screen sharing if you want. Also on the very bottom right is more. And if you click on that, you'll get more options. That's to lock the meeting. That way no one can come in until you unlock it.
Go back to that, Michael. I just want to make sure I have that.
That was simple.
The more part. Go to manage participants. More. Okay. Mute on entry. Okay. Lock meeting. Lock. Okay.
And then on the main screen, we see everyone's webcam or even their phone icon. You can go ahead and mute them, remove video. I mean, that's just very temporary. What you just want to do is just remove them. And they'll try to get back in, but it'll take time. And then you can just go ahead and lock the meeting, wait for a while, and then unlock it just randomly so people get in, get out. And that should be pretty much it. And
yeah. Good. It's easy. I just hadn't looked at that part.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Go ahead and start, and I'll be around. I just got some stuff to do.
Okay.
I'll be listening in. I have no idea. How do you even say that thing? That word, kaitas?
Oh,
Kaitos?
it's Caitlin Johnstone, so I guess it's
Kaitos. Oh, that's just the Twitter handle.
Yeah, sorry. I know Joanne, I'm hoping she'll come on, but this discussion might go on all week. Apparently it's really blown up because on The View, they, some Republican senator, somebody, I think, retweeted one of her articles that retweeted a tweet of hers that said that John McCain should just go ahead and die already, which was just uncalled for. I mean, I like a lot of her writing, but I agree that was too much. What are you doing? So anyway, it's kind of blown up all over the place, and I caught a little bit about it because I'm in this progressive chat room with people I don't always agree with. They're definitely, not for Democratic establishment, but they're very much against. Caitlin Johnstone had written an article about kind of aligning with some on the right to fight the establishment corporate media. Hello, everybody. And they were just like, forget it, and I don't know. I brought it up on here before. I didn't think, aligning with Cernovich, maybe not. That's just my opinion. But I think, just saying, no, we can't find common ground with, I don't know, call them libertarian leaning independents or whatever. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't want to align with neo-Nazis, but, there's still so much just calling all the Trump supporter or all the Trump voters that when they aren't. So anyway, it's been a really interesting, just reading in Mint Press, so I'll try to link that up too here, and it's sort of talking about her position, and there's a lot of divide on that. But I don't know. Anybody else paid attention to that particular stuff going on? Anybody watch The View? I don't, but I usually hear something of it. Hi, Stevie.
I don't get cable TV.
Okay.
I could, but I have to go over and plug it in.
Okay. I know you're watching The View every morning, Snork, aren't you? I'm kidding. I don't think any of us here are. But oh, okay.
I doubt it's just me, but I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'll be watching, and they'll have a liberal person, and then if I step away and I'm like listening, and I'm sitting on the other side of the room, all of a sudden the next video that gets played is always somebody ultra conservative.
Oh, huh. Interesting. Oh, just in the queue on YouTube, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. It's their critique of it or something, huh?
No, it always flips me over to the conservative channels after I watch one liberal channel.
Huh. Interesting.
So I'm the only one that's happening to.
That happens to me all the time. Like I'll start and I'll just kind of let YouTube take me wherever, and I always end up on some like either super right wing or like CNN, like those types. I don't know, because I always watch it. Why would they think that that's something I'm into?
A lot of times it flips me to MSNBC, and I know that's not ultra conservative, but I'm thinking that NBC is losing a lot of viewers, and so are probably CNN, whatever. And I think they're using it as an income stream. They're just putting what isn't being seen on their regular shows, because I won't tune into their cable. They're throwing it onto my YouTube, and maybe they're paying to get it force fed to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Seems pretty logical from like a business standpoint. If they could work out a deal with Google to do that, I feel like they would. Let's see.
How do you tell when you're blocked? You said you were blocked from Tim Black?
Oh, who, me?
Yeah, after you reduced your donations.
No, actually, he did that to me before I reduced anything. I told him I was going to reduce it just because I wanted to support others. But you know what? I don't mind anybody asking me questions, but I've just kind of decided that, we put enough comments on YouTube about it, and there's just no point in going on about it. It seems like there's just tension in the air everywhere lately. Like when I've been watching this thing about Kate Oz and all these writers, progressive writers, like just butting heads, and it's like, good God, everybody is just at each other's throats. I don't know what.
Something's in the water.
Right. So I don't know.
Generally needed to reduce all of my donations this month.
You what?
I just needed to reduce all my donations this month.
Right. Sometimes you might just have a reason that, yeah. So I've kind of learned a lesson with that. I think that, it's just a hard call what to do. I think we can do lots to support independent media just by retweeting things and talking about, giving credit where credit's due and stuff. Money, I think money is always a corrupter, no matter what. Even you don't want it to be, you think it won't be. It always causes problems. Or maybe I shouldn't say it's a corrupter, but it just always causes problems. No way around it. But okay, so there's a let's see, Mint Press. I will put this. I'll link this. I have to get a little bit better at doing multiple things at once here with this. But okay, so this is Mint Press News. Bot crimes on the left, and this was just today. And I guess this was more in support of Caitlin. But yeah, I guess I would love to know what everyone here thinks about, even if you don't know the whole story, which I still don't. That article just came out today. But what everyone kind of thinks about joining with some, independent, maybe libertarian lean. We're all pretty progressive, I guess, but we're all kind of shunning the labels, right? I think with so many of us, some of us are former Republicans, and there's my husband. He's going to join in. Maybe libertarian lean. We're all pretty progressive, I guess, but we're all kind of shunning the labels, right? Okay. Michael, so many. You have to mute the YouTube. Did you do it? Okay. Yes, he's my tech support. It's a little frightening. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Anybody want to talk about that? I don't know, Stevie, because where you live, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that were for Bernie and then voted Trump, right? So what do you think about that?
About
Aligning these groups?
Yeah, I don't care as long as they're on the up and up, as long as they're honest and, as long as they want the same things, then I don't care about labels at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing a huge rift here.
Yeah.
The rural areas, a lot of the Democratic Party people that are still in, were Bernie people. And there is quite a fight going on in the main offices right now. The chair of the Iowa Democratic Party had resigned due to illness, and the second up in the previous election was a Bernie person, and they really don't want another Bernie person to get in there. And we have the large cities like Des Moines, the insurance center areas forming up around the anti for single payer movement, and most of the rural areas are backing behind the single payer.
Oh, okay.
So it's down to what they're coming out for or against, really, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Shelley Moore Capito has been getting a lot of grief online about going and wanting to, where she hadn't stated whether or not she was going to vote for this new health care bill. And, everybody's saying, oh, well, there's half the people that are saying go back and stay with Obamacare. And then the other half are complaining because their prices have gone up so much that they can't afford it. And they're saying anything but Obamacare. And anybody seems to be mentioning single payer. So I just keep chiming in there and saying, oh, well, or you could go the other route and do the right thing, and go for single payer. That would be the most reasonable thing. But, but hopefully, maybe just me just commenting and getting out there. Hopefully, maybe, people will see that and say, well, what's this single payer thing?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now that people are just desperate for anything.
Right now in Iowa, we have two candidates that have come out for being for single payer. One of them is wanting to go Medicare for all, or Medicaid for all. So you'd buy into Medicaid if you needed insurance. If you were already on Medicare, you'd just stay on Medicare. Iowa has no Affordable Care Act carriers for next year. So Affordable Care Act disappears here. Then we have another person running for government that the Des Moines group is firmly behind. And he only posts ads of him running in marathons. No other positions on anything. And I really fear that that's going to come back and bite the entire party heavily. So, I just know that when it comes time for a general election, that they're going to just show him running every time they say, and for this issue, he is running away. And if somebody's spending 10 hours a day running, or probably only 2 or 3 hours a day running, that's still a lot of time where we need somebody that's really serious. And I don't know about your states, but Iowa's really messed up when it comes to government. We had like $1 billion surplus. In just a few years, we've gone negative because it was all sent to outside companies outside of Iowa. I can't even think of the reasons why they sent it out, but they gave $1 billion out of the state, and a state like this can't handle We've only got 3 million people. Realistically, we should be part of Minnesota.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I think it's a long time before we cover those issues, but personally, as an Iowan, I worry that we have enough people for a state, and we have territories that have more people than some of our states, and I don't think that should be. I think to remain a state, we probably should maintain a certain portion of the population, or it should be absorbed into the next. And in fact, I think that if you were to combine the Dakotas with Montana, that you could still have a state that is lacking people enough compared to some of these other states that have only 2 senators that have 25 million people. Or how many people does California have? Is it 25 or 50 million, isn't it?
I'll look it up fast. I don't know off the top of my head.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I can tell you my senator represents me more than somebody that's in California.
Yeah, 39.14 million, and that was taken in 2015.
Okay. And I think 3 million is being gracious here for Iowa. I think 1 million is being gracious for North Dakota.
I'll tell you what, nobody here is representing us at all. The only body that's done anything around here in the past 20 years is probably Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
He's done more outreach and talked to the constituents more than any of these damn senators combined.
Paula Jean Swearingen, I've been following her.
Oh, yeah.
And she posted a plea online today for help, financial help. She lost 2 of her 5 days at work as punishment for running for office.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, my gosh. They're punishing her at work because she's running for office.
Well, they're probably actually going to let her go. I think.
Oh, my God.
And the hours they're giving her aren't enough that she can really maintain. And that is just sad. She seems like she would be good for that state. Is that your state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. We crush anybody that sticks their head up if they don't bow their head and get in line. You know, I mean, the worst is from just the other people around here. You know, it's, you know, I don't know if they get offended or if it's just like, you know, they don't want attention drawn or what it is, but like if you see somebody acting any different, it's just like, you know, attack and conform. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, the congressmen in the Senate make their decisions as a group. Mm-hmm. So if you can't get good reputation in your state, it hurts me here. So it's not just you that's going to get hurt by it. It's all of us. And
even people in Yemen. I mean, look what Joe Manchin's doing to them. Just because, you know, he's my senator, he's one of the ones that helped allow that to get through. So now people in Yemen are going to die because Joe Manchin is my senator. You know, I mean, it affects everybody.
Well, Iowans are going to die because Joe Manchin's your senator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's true. I'm sorry, I seem like I'm laughing, but it's kind of a, oh, it's not a funny laugh. It's a, oh.
Dark humor, almost like, it's unbelievable. I get what you're saying. I didn't even realize like how far reaching. I just thought, you know, senators, you know, we're screwing up my state. And then when I started realizing, you know, they don't have borders, you know, they'll screw everybody. It really blew my mind.
You know, the coal money isn't really from West Virginia state itself. It's from a lot of energy people all over. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we contribute to your problem. and we're responsible too. I know that I use some electricity that comes from the national grid, and the national grid uses coal. I don't know what portion of it, but it does. So, it's our responsibility to help you too.
Yeah, I mean, this was the flyover state, and this is what happens when you fly over so many years after years after years, and nobody does any kind of outreach to the people. You have, basically, political illiteracy, and nobody. I mean, they're still thinking in terms of Democrats and Republicans. They don't even have time to think, or they don't even know about anything. I mean, it's just, certain groups are good, certain groups are bad, and then. But recently, well, fairly recently, I mean, we flipped Republican because they kind of got the picture that Democrats weren't on their side. So they're like, well, the other guys must be the good guys. So it's just like, how many years is it going to take them to figure out that the Republicans don't give a shit about them either?
I remember right after my wife died, I was looking for something to do, and I was really interested in buying a flattened mountaintop to make a coffee farm. West Virginia is perfect for growing coffee and black pepper. And
coffee and black. I'll have to remember that. I'm going to write it down because we're looking for things. They're looking for a cash crop here. But the problem is that everything is just so toxic. It's just certain things won't grow, and so
that's
what is it? Coffee and black pepper. Okay.
It would have to be grown inside. There are professors. I know one that's in New York that's looking into what they call controlled environment farming or agriculture. They call it agriculture. So the toxins that are in the outside world won't get into the produce. But it's really expensive for the amount of food that New York City, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, all these places need in the wintertime. And it's a great big chunk of our population. So when these foods have to be grown in California and trucked all the way to New York City, they really have to be picked early. And although you're not what you'd say walking distance to New York City, if you had some large farms that weren't tied to the season, because they'd be grown indoors, you would have a really nice supply line because you're so close to New York City. And for some reason, people in New York drink a lot of coffee. And well, I'm still only a year into growing my coffee, so I'm no coffee expert yet. But I'm
no leaving Iowa though.
I'm gonna be here for at least another year, maybe 2.
Oh, right. You're taking care of your dad, right?
But I'm finding I can't kill this stuff. If coffee was a weed, it would take over my yard. I should bring my little pot out. But the coffee, when I ordered it, it was extraordinarily warm here for more weeks than we expected. And I thought, it's going to continue on this warm. I'm going to order some coffee. So I ordered live coffee plants, 3. I think it was a total of 6 that I got, and 3 lemon trees. And they were UPS'd to me. On the day they arrived, I swear it must have been like 20 below zero. I got outside as soon as I could, and they were encased in ice blocks. And I thought, they're dead. They're all dead. My banana too. I thought, okay, these are dead. These aren't seeds. These are live plants. And at first, they were all like brown and wrinkly. It looked like they were dead. And I just watered them every day, thinking, okay, maybe a little bit survived. And they sprouted new leaves, all of them. And it is just a nice little bush growing. And I'm thinking, okay, if I couldn't kill it, and there's been several days where I've had to go out to Illinois because my daughter needed something. So didn't get watered for the day, and they still handle it. So I'm thinking, okay, this is hardy enough that we could introduce it to people who've never grown coffee before, and get a supply of coffee near New York City, grown by people that want a job. Oh, one thing about the economic area you live in, these people understand the meaning of a job, and they will work hard. I don't mean don't pay them. What I mean is they will work hard for the money, and once they see that there's an opportunity in their area, they will support that job. They will be good workers, won't slack off a lot. And I've seen this in other economically challenged areas that I've gone into. When there is no other job and you bring a good job in there, and one that's actually kind of fun, you get some extraordinary workers. They bubble up. And I'm thinking for sure this is what would happen out there. The black pepper for different reason. Now, obviously, people in the New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, am I pronouncing it wrong? All those areas eat a lot of pepper. There is a problem with the world's pepper supply. It's kind of in peril, just like chocolate. And that's the other thing that I think we should be growing in West Virginia. It's chocolate.
Well, that brings us back to the point of, why Paula Jean would be a valuable candidate, because she comes out of that class of people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'd love to get her contact information and talk to her about it.
And I admire her, but unfortunately, look at what's going to happen to her. She's the Justice Democrats. I'm sorry, they're going to drop her as soon as she has no use for them. She's not going to have a job. This organization that promised to support her, I've seen them do this kind of thing before, this TYT Hydra pack that they've got going on. They'll just drop her and she won't have a job or anything. So, what happens to her next? Do we as citizens continue to try to support her? Is she even going to have the desire to continue on with this after such an experience?
If she comes out for single payer, we'll TYT drop her.
Well, she's already come out for single payer.
So, okay.
Yeah, I think that was one of the criteria for being a Justice Democrat even.
But they know she's going to fail at this point. So yeah, why not say that we're for single payer? But if she gained some juice, and came out for single payer, I think they would drop her. They would start attacking her.
What is it?
Isn't she doing okay? Manchin sounds awfully scared.
Yeah, but how far is she going to go with this? I don't know. I don't see much hope for her. As long as she isn't accepting party infrastructure money, the attacks are going to increase. So if her power increases, they will always be 3 steps ahead of her. And they will beat her down unless we do something about it.
She won't get party money though.
She won't, and that's why the attacks against her will, continue to be elevated the more influence she gains. We've seen this process play out hundreds of times before.
Absolutely.
So, they will say we have to take a new role as citizens in this process. And
that's why I'm always
these candidates, but we can't really empower them as long as they're under the sway of these organizations like the Justice Democrats or any of these people. So we have to wait until they learn or are forced out of such organizations or whatever. But we can't by proxy let these other organizations profit off of our efforts.
Yeah, I have to agree with. I watched back over and heard a little bit. I think it was The Fly and James, and they were talking about how the Democratic Party is just going to have to fall for this to really change, because the name of the game now, it's they did it with Bernie. They want to co-opt all of his platform when there was no way they were going to do that during the primaries, but they're using it now to gain momentum. They'll use a candidate that stands for this or that and say that they're for that, but they're going to drop it it's just a gain in numbers, and it just feels like a ploy. That's what I think.
I think like right now, like even before they really even got started with her, I just feel like they threw in the towel. I don't even know why they accepted her or why they even tried if they weren't even going to give it 100%. Like, why even make that attempt? All they're doing is just like, ruining more than doing good if they're not going to get it 100%. And if they're listening to people like Michael Schur, then she doesn't stand a chance because he doesn't know anything about what goes on here. And the biggest problem that she's got is the fact that we're so rural. A lot of people don't have internet. We're older, and she has to go against decades of misinformation and uninformed voters, people that have completely just disconnected from the system. I mean, that's what she's up against. She has to, if people actually get to hear her and understand what she's talking about and why it's good for them, then they'd vote for her. But right now, like that's her big problem, is reaching those people and getting them to understand that, like these are good things. Single payer is a good thing. Letting the coal industry die is a good thing, because it's either the coal industry or the miners, because somebody's going to die either way. And it's better the coal industry than our people. That's just how I see it. Maybe I'm off.
Do you not have any numbers on percentage of people that don't have internet? Do you know? Or
I don't have numbers. I haven't tried to research it, though. I just know just from talking to people and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I know that they're trying to do something through Congress right now to get broadband out to these people, but it makes me wonder. I question their motives. Either it's to make the companies richer, or it's to keep an eyeball on us, through the NSA, because these are people that are unmonitored. You know what I mean? So,
well, Stevie, how long has this war been going on? Like 100 years. The war between Appalachia and the coal mining industry. I mean, had some serious effects on the condition of American labor today.
Yeah, and if you look at this, there's a documentary called "Rich Land, Poor People," and it's filmed in like the early '60s, and they're complaining about the coal industry being unsafe, unemployment, lack of education. There's no other jobs. I mean, it's the same damn thing we're complaining about now that we complained about 100 years ago. And that's what I'm saying. If these people aren't going to fix it, it's going to take one of us getting into office, or one of us just, all of us getting together and just taking care of ourselves, because they're not going to do it. Absolutely not. 100 years. In 100 years, you can't make one single change. One thing to get the people, That's damn disappointing, to say the least.
Sorry, Brian, I interrupted you.
That's all right. I was just going to say what we need. I mean, I can see West Virginia becoming a catalyst for change across the country if we do it right. Because West Virginia is kind of what's the best way to put it? It's kind of ground zero for all the crap that's going on. I mean, you look at the coal mining, you look at the way that the government doesn't represent the people there at all, not in any way, shape, or form. If West Virginia rises up and turns that state around, the whole country could follow suit very quickly.
Dude, we've seen it before. We've seen it before, specifically with Appalachia.
Yes, we have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think about it. You get these people, we've been the butt of these jokes for I don't even know how long. And to see people like us rising up and doing these actions and getting progress and doing better, these people are going to have to step up, because they're not going to be showed up by a bunch of rednecks, They're like, oh, wait, West Virginia's do better than us? What the hell's our problem? All right, if they can do it, we can do it,
That's why West Virginia could be the catalyst to change the entire country, to turn this thing around.
That would be fantastic. I mean, we could go from like the butt of all these jokes to actually being like a forward thinking like role model for like other states. You know, like we could do it. We've done it before, and we could do it again.
Well, here's another point, okay, that shows that the political winds might be shifting in that direction. Again, with the damn Justice Democrats, they're moving into Kentucky. And then you see other political efforts moving into the Appalachian region. So the political winds are shifting in that direction. You know?
Yeah.
And people are pissed right now. People are very angry. So
And that
angry.
is a very good thing.
Yep, we just got to channel that. I mean, it's kind of like what happened with like after 9/11. You know, it's kind of like how everybody right then was hurting and they were angry. And it's just, you know, you could either take that force and that energy and you can use it for good, or you can turn it the other direction. And right now I'm trying so hard to get this information out there because I want to channel that and get them to use all that energy for good. I mean, that's the only way this is going to happen.
Well, that's really, I have to go, you guys. I just hopped in to have a quick discussion about that.
Thanks for being here, Gardner. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks.
No problem.
Glad
I'll
you
be,
did
I'll be
that.
listening in the chat. See you guys
Okay.
later.
We
Yeah.
always love your insight, Gordon.
Don't get eaten by the screaming beast.
I love his analysis, like 3 steps ahead. He's really good at
Very
doing
good.
that. Yeah. I feel like there are so many stories. I didn't have time today to really dig in far enough into any one that I wanted to. I watched the Elizabeth Beck interview on InfoWars last night. I can't believe that's coming out of my mouth because I've never watched InfoWars. But hey, you know, gotta go where whoever's covering it. So,
How was it?
I really feel for her. She started crying.
So for part of it, yeah, she just basically dropped a lot of names and a lot of connections with hospitals and the Mayo Clinic and Cheney
organ transplant.
So it's going to take some digging to, you know, it's going to be hard to find sources that are reliable to try to. I'm sure people have already today tried to connect the dots, but I haven't had time to do that yet. And since we don't have actual media that will do that, we got to do it ourselves. So I hope to have more on that. You know, I guess I'll probably read up more tonight. But yeah, she seemed just terrified, and
yes,
I don't know. Anybody else know any more about that? There were 2 more murders, right?
Pete mentioned Cheney, Bush, and the Clintons involved in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I see this kind of thing, to kind of try to stay out of, you know, immediate conspiracy theory sort of, I just want to start with like, okay, there was another murder. You know, who was it? It was somebody, a Haitian official, I believe. If anybody knows more.
It took me a while to dig on that one. Snopes is saying that it's a no. I think I'd like to see more information. Snopes is saying that several other things, he was not scheduled for a court date.
I can't really believe Snoop.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Shirley. But
I'd like to see more information from other sites.
I can't really believe Snoop because I think the guy that owns that thing, he deals with prostitutes and stuff like that. So
I don't remember what it was now, but it was something during the primary where I feel they weren't reliable. But
just from what the person's position was, and he has a head wound, I think it warrants an investigation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's what any logical person would do, is just look at each part and see, you know, as far as are any of these things connected, we don't know.
And honestly, guys, you can go to some of these Republican websites and they telling some more of the truth than our liberal media.
You know what?
It's a weird place to be, isn't it, Shirley?
where I have a landline, I get those polling questions, and I got asked whether who I trusted the most, the media, the Democrats, or Trump. And I swear to God, I think hell froze over because I picked Trump because I think he accidentally says more truth than any of the other two.
Yes.
Accidentally says is that's the right way to put it.
I was like, what kind of a world am I living in where I have to say I trump Donald Trump the most? I mean,
and my husband will call me, "You're a Trump supporter." No, I'm not. He is right. They are fake news. They make up stories.
Oh, there's a new
all the time.
There's a new documentary on Netflix, or it might be a documentary, but they're talking about like how basically painting Donald Trump as this evil villain, and we need to unite around the media. And it looks pretty full of propaganda. You know, I gotta find the name of it.
Well, InfoWars had other reporters on their site.
Unmute yourself, James.
That's pretty good.
I think he's being dramatic.
James. Okay, up again.
I'm glad you came on because I really do want to pose this question to you.
Go ahead. Knock your socks off.
Have you followed this whole Caitlin Johnstone thing that's been going on about? It started, I think, with an article about the left and the right should work together to basically take down the establishment propaganda machine. But there was some, I don't know what exactly, she in aligning with Cernovich. And so a whole bunch of progressives didn't like that and said I don't know, that was the wrong way to go. But I think, we've talked about this, how that would be an amazing force to have like Green Party people and progressives and some libertarian, like all of that together. That would be
whoever wants to. The only thing that I know about is that Caitlin Johnson, brilliant writer, some idiot from The Intercept went after her, and H.A. Goodman was just. I don't know how big H.A. Goodman is. Maybe he's 5'2", or maybe he's just he doesn't look like a big man. But you don't want to fuck with her with H.A. Goodman. And that's the only thing I know about. So this actually happened today?
Well, no, I think what happened today was on The View about a tweet that she tweeted out something that said John McCain should just go ahead and die. And a Republican, with his surgery or whatever, because of healthcare, all that. So a Republican, somebody, I don't remember who, retweeted it. So it got a lot of attention, and then it had kind of everybody on her case.
You guys, I'm going to look at this. You gave me the gist of it. Fuck yeah. The biggest threat to our nation is these idiots that are colluding with the plutocratic 1% oligarchic crap. I mean, it would be great if everybody, or if people that actually had some sense to come in to the mix to say, hey, we're sick of it and revolt, and don't watch, I don't know how that's going to happen. Stop watching CNN, stop watching MSNBC, stop watching Fox, just stop watching all that crap. I don't know. There's so many people that are dependent on that as we are dependent on this.
Well, I watched just the clip of it, and then Joy Behar, whatever her name is, jumps in and says, well, she was a Bernie supporter. It's like,
what the fuck does that mean?
Those women on The View, I can't stand them.
Oh my God. Sorry, I typed in Caitlin and Johnson came right up. I don't think I think other people are.
Yeah, it's a big discussion.
Thing. Now let me check out.
Yeah, and there are so many stories right now today. There's another big one I'd love to talk about. Could be a long night or just a long week. We can keep going with all these, but there was another one about that the CIA wants to basically destroy. Wait, hold on. Anybody else see this? Somebody's nodding. Bram, you saw it. Getting rid of files after 30 years.
Right.
Which I think is a terrible idea. The National Archives and Records.
It's going to make the Freedom of Information Act very difficult to enforce if they get rid of all those documents.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, normal security is held for 25 years. But theirs, I don't think, is limited to 25.
It just seems like a really bad idea to get rid of these records. I mean,
good if you're one that
not if they have something to hide.
Yeah, that's because they're hiding all their secret operations and the documents of the government overthrows from the 1950s and 60s and 70s.
Right. There was something in here about Iran in I don't remember what year. Anyway, I'll link this too in here if anybody wants.
Nicaragua, Panama, Uruguay. I mean, countless Central and South American countries back in the 50s and 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and this is the Daily Beast, so I can just hear my liberal friends. Oh my God, you watched the InfoWars and read the Daily Beast, but I dig around everywhere, so
Isn't Caitlin Johnson a part of Counterpro?
Think about this. Shepard Smith for Fox, he's going after Hannity.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hannity's brought, Shelley, you're right. Hannity's brought a lot of stuff. I've been watching that guy on Wiki Politics. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm not a Hannity fan, but look, he's telling the truth about things.
Yeah.
They're exposing the Democrats.
Yeah, but he's dipping into the WikiLeaks. He's dipping into Wiki. So, and what's going to be funny is sooner, and then Wiki's going to, Julian's going to go after Fox. They did in the past, but they just don't. They're too stupid to remember.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I just think so many people are, they self-control and don't let other information in because they say, oh, that news outlet is, you can't read that or watch that. And so you close yourself off more. I just don't understand that. But I mean, sure, I'm not going to sit there and tune into Alex Jones all day, but wait, is he like out now or something of InfoWars? Does anybody follow that?
I don't know.
Does anyone listen to Lionel Nation? Watch him?
I have from time to time.
Because he cracks me up railing on the media.
He can be pretty good.
Who is this?
I watch him.
Lionel Nation.
Yeah, he can be pretty good.
Oh, right. I wrote that down. You mentioned him before.
He
I remember.
is really good talking about the media.
Yeah, he can be pretty good at times.
Everything I don't agree with him with, but...
Did any of you guys watch that Guy McPherson talk that Ariel shared before?
I haven't had time. Yes.
Lucky you, because it's very depressing. I wouldn't recommend watching it unless you want to be depressed.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's a climate change talk by Guy McPherson, and he's brutally honest, and it's very depressing.
Okay, so it's how to fight establishment propaganda machine and win.
Yeah, that was one.
It's not easy, but it can be done.
I posted in the chat, James, the other, hold on. The other one. It's more specific. That's her pin, I think is a pin tweet. The other one is about, it's together, the left. Together, the left and right can kill the establishment propaganda machine. But yeah, that's.
Are you going to put the link up?
Yeah, I did. I think that one should be there.
Thank you.
It's Medium. .com. But this was, I want to say this was a week or so ago that this one posted. Oh, no, I guess it was the 15th. Wasn't that long. So that's kind of what started it. And then, so a lot of people got all upset because she was aligning with, you know, whatever, alt-right. And then she made the comment about John McCain, which I agree was a little over the top, but
I don't think that's over the top.
I don't think that was over the top.
Like John McCain, Ted Cruz, all these motherfuckers need to have their heads chopped off French Revolution style because they're selling the next generations down the river for a few dollars. And on behalf of all the young people on this planet who have been screwed out of a future thanks to those people, I say fuck them, and they can all go and kill themselves or get killed. And I don't give a shit because at this point there's no future for people my age. There isn't.
I understand.
Yeah,
I guess I just
however, they have to. I mean, aren't they part of the AP, Associated Press? Don't they have to? Don't they have a code of conduct?
Who's that?
So anybody that's a part of the Associated Press is Jay part of that, and Caitlin both? I
don't know. She writes on Medium, so I'm not sure. That's a good question. I guess I just say give them hell, but maybe calling for their deaths. It's just, I think even if it is, I don't know, even if it's what needs to be said, it causes this big distraction and then causes, or I don't know, maybe ultimately it'll bring more attention to it. I guess I just think that saying it a different way might have been more effective, but that's just me.
That's probably
why she lost me when they said Hillary Clinton the day before the California election had won. They lost me then. Yeah, they lost me then. I'm like, what the hell?
And you may not be here in this state, Cheryl, but I can tell you as a Californian, they stopped counting pretty early on. And from the looks of it, they stopped counting as soon as they realized that there was a chance she could lose. They never finished counting all the votes here in California.
No, didn't they shred off thousands of ballots too?
Yes, they did.
I heard that, and I saw a video someone had posted of where you could see Bernie's name was covered in whiteout.
There are still lawsuits going on here in California over this.
Yeah, there's a guy. Oh crap! Follow him on Twitter. I can't remember his name. He's been a big part of that.
I know Cliff Allenbeck is involved in a lawsuit against them, and he's just doing it in Ohio. But Cliff Allenbeck, because I watched the video of him, and he said during the primary, the Democratic primary, he said the people who's helping Clinton in her campaign are doing her injustice with the polling and everything. He said Bernie actually won the nomination.
If you look at California and New York, I think those were the most obvious states where there was shenanigans. You know,
Arizona.
I mean, they did so much.
Yeah, but a lot of them.
Actually, Iowa. I mean, it was just a few votes. It was in Iowa, and there's a YouTube of the Democratic state Democratic Party throwing it for Hillary in the Des Moines caucus. You got to remember, our caucuses are live and people are there. They told everybody that it was over. You can go home now. And as soon as the Bernie people left, they held another vote, and then they voted Hillary in.
Was that the one, the coin toss?
No. There was coin toss. There was 6 coin tosses in Iowa. For some reason, Hillary won all 6. Personally, I've been voicing here and getting no answer on it, that I believe that the rule needs to be changed. That if there are ties, then the ties need to be divvied up amongst the 2 people by how many other counties they've won. So in the case of, they were 50-50 on almost every single precinct in the state, then it should have gone 3 votes to one, 3 votes to the other. And as soon as Hillary won 3 ties, they should have given the remaining ones to Bernie. It's just fair. They were ties. And if that had happened, Hillary would not have won.
I mean, like, Iowa's rules make sense if it was like 1800. I mean, but this is like the 21st century. Can we please get some like legitimate rules and, you know, ways of figuring out who our next president, a coin toss for the president. I mean, think about that. A coin toss will decide possibly who the president is going to be.
Think of this as a hill and a snowball. Iowa is the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Where the snowball starts. We messed it up for everybody.
Well, I know.
And my thing is, when Bernie held that rally, he held the rally here in Philadelphia at the Leah Quarter Center. It was so many. I mean, that line went for blocks. And I don't think he won here. And then he went to New York, and that was huge in that park. I never saw anybody fill that park before, and there was still people outside that couldn't get in. And
I went to
New York. I knew something was going on.
Yeah. Now, I tried to go to a rally that he had here in Carson, California, about 15 minutes from LA. And Hillary had just held a rally herself 2 days prior in LA. Couldn't fill a high school gym. I couldn't get into the rally in Carson because it was so overflowed. They had no idea how many people were going to show up. And there was no way I could even get in. I mean, I was like a block and a half away, and it was impossible. So for Bernie,
he had more of an effect than Obama in his first run for president.
Yeah. There's a lot of states that Bernie got hosed.
Yeah.
I'm looking and researching and typing Bernie gets hosed, Bernie gets screwed, Bernie, just
well, the election
just the keywords, and it's not just California and New York, it's Nevada and a lot of other places. It's from what I heard is where there was a paper trail, where there would have been or able to be a paper trail, is where he did the best, I believe.
Yeah.
So where there was no paper trail, or where it's harder for average schmo to do some research, their due diligence, and investigate it, it was much. She took those states hands down.
One that was not in Iowa that really bothered me was the one where near a school with a lot of young voters, Bill Clinton went in and gave a speech, and they had to shut down. And that was your place, an entire block around that area, or more than a block, and nobody was allowed to vote for 4 hours.
And is that the
yeah,
one
Massachusetts.
there?
Unreal.
He did that in Boston.
I mean, tell me that wasn't intentional. There's just, it's just, that should have been, that, there's just a plethora of proof against this mafia family that I used to thought was pretty cool. And I used to actually kind of admire the fact that he got a blowjob in the Oval Office by some intern. Anyway,
well,
you know what I'm saying? I know that's bad, but I was just like, wow. When you're younger, you're thinking like this. But the thing was, like, actually kind of stood for this guy. And then as I started doing my homework and thinking more like the rest of the people here, and I woke up late, guys. Sorry, I woke up a lot later than most of you. But
when Hillary Clinton was first lady, I never liked her. I always said it was something about her. I never liked her.
I agree.
I never liked her. Bill Clinton, I liked him. I never liked her. It was something about her.
She probably was the Darth Vader or the darkness of the relationship.
Yeah, during the primaries, she sent Bill in ahead of time, like the day before she was supposed to come here, I guess to soften us up. And man, it pissed people off more. They're like, come on, face us. You coward. You're going to send somebody else. You're not going to show up yourself. What, you too good to come here? Oh, people were upset. And it just pissed them off even more. I got to find the pictures. There's pictures of people yelling at her motorcade as it went through. I mean, it was bad for her.
Yeah, did anybody mention there was, because I watched a lot of these caucuses, and there was the one where they waved through a bunch of people in Hillary gear without even checking to make sure they were registered in the district. And there was another one where they did the count and they did the recount when they, shuffle people around. And the person on the Hillary team, instead of recounting, just took the number she already had and tacked a number onto it and said, well, these were the people that came over, but she didn't check to see if anybody left from her side and went to the other side, and the whole count was off.
Hey, wasn't 479 here last? Sorry, I'll get to your question, but 479, was that the same guy that was here last night?
Yes, probably.
Hello, we can barely hear you. 479. Sorry, 479.
I can't hear him.
Oh, you guys. All right.
Have you guys seen Where to Invade Next?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's really good.
I think I started watching it.
It's on Amazon Prime. I had a free trial that expires tomorrow, so I was watching it today, and it's pretty good at highlighting things we could do to actually make our country great.
What's the name of it again?
Where to Invade Next. It's a Michael Moore.
I've heard of it.
It's Michael Moore's
Michael Moore
last
movie.
documentary from before he went insane.
I love that movie.
Before he lost it.
I was about to cry watching that movie. I'm like, I pretty wanted the same thing for us. Those people are so happy and stress-free.
Well, that's what, I want to move to Italy now, because in Italy they get 8 weeks paid vacation, and they get 3 months maternity and paternity leave. Both, one parent, at least one parent has to take off the full 3 months to be with their child when they're born. And in Finland, teaching is the most revered profession in the entire country. So the teachers have to go to 8 years of schooling and really want to do it. And then also their school day is shorter for younger kids. It starts later in the day for kids and teenagers so that they're healthier. And then also their school year.
They don't get homework either, right?
Yeah, homework is banned in Finland.
James?
And all the countries have universal health care, pretty much.
Everybody should watch that movie. Where to Invade Next.
And learning about Norway's prisons and their recidivism rates and how they treat their prisoners, they treat them so well, and it works so well. I mean, their prisoners have it better than a lot of middle class families in America do. Well, I guess they're not really middle class anymore, are they?
Not really.
Well, I mean, functionally they are, but I mean, the concept of the middle class to me is kind of built on the back of a bubble economy to begin with. So
your mic is low, Elias.
The median wage, I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but right now the median wage in the U.S. is below $30,000 a year. That's pretty sad. That's poverty wage.
Yes.
In most areas.
Yeah, you couldn't live on that.
Yeah.
Hey Lucas, what country was Michael Moore in? And oh my God, I don't know if it was Italy or something. And he went to the school, and the kids had utensils to eat with, and they had chefs in there cooking the lunch. And he showed the video of somebody from the United States lunch, and the chef was like, "Oh, I feel sorry for those kids in America."
That was in France, and like, cause
That was in
the
France.
worst school in France had way better food than the best schools in the United States.
Oh my God, they didn't drink soda or anything. I think they just drank water, right?
Yep, nothing but water at all the schools.
Yep.
So, which do you think is worse, prison food or school food?
Oh, school food, without a doubt.
I don't know, because they're both the same. Like,
I think
a lot of the same companies make both.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Yes, like Cisco is the one who distributes it to our school, and they also distribute it to prisons. And then there's the companies that they're distributing from. They have the same lunch programs for prisons as they do for schools.
Dang,
So
I didn't know that.
So kids on the lunch program at school, a lot of times they're eating prison food.
Well, they do run the two very similarly, you know.
Yep, there's a lot of companies that build prisons that also build schools, like the cafeteria at my school, which is luckily getting replaced over the next few years. Like my school, the oldest part of my school is over 100 years old, and they've been trying to pass a levy. Trying to pass a levy every year for over 10 years now, and they can never get it passed. And then finally this year, everyone had enough of being in the auditorium without air conditioning during the summer with the band wearing their full uniform, passing out and everything. And the community finally banded together and passed the levy. So we're going to get a new high school where I live. But parts of it are over 100 years old. Other parts of it were built during the FDR years as part of the National Service Projects. And then like the newest parts, the cafeteria and the gymnasium and the library were built in the 60s. And the cafeteria is just like a prison cafeteria. It has no windows at all.
You know what they did in my school? They used to make the special education kids clean up the cafeteria.
Hey, somebody get rid of 479. Kelley, who's got control? It's the idiot. He was here last night. He's an idiot.
Yeah, please pull the plug on 479.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The
Thank
microphone, you don't sit on the microphone.
Try not to drop your pen again on your way out.
Well done. Oh, that's good.
Okay. Okay, so Forsaken said something earlier, and I think this guy came in and distracted her, and I'm sorry, because I thought it was the same guy, and it was.
Yeah,
Why does the screen look like it's in a blur?
I don't know.
What?
Maybe it's
Go ahead.
I said the screen looked like it's in a blur. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Your screen's so bright it hurts my eyes. Shirley.
Oh, okay.
I think my camera gets bored. If every once in a while my camera just starts fuzzing out.
No, that's weird. It does. I like my $27.99 camera. It's done pretty damn good. I think Bram and I have the same thing.
I think I've got the model that's just above yours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Forsaken, you were saying earlier, and then this idiot came on. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. What was they saying? About what happened at some of the caucuses. That there was one where it was on video where they just let a group of Hillary supporters in Hillary gear go by without checking in to make sure they were registered in the district. And there was another one where they did a count, the first count, and then when I forget what you call it, when they,
That's the one I was talking about, and the YouTube of them complaining and not being heard. It is out there.
Yeah, well, when they shuffle the people around, I forget what you call realignment, I think, or something. When they have the people that are like for a third person or were undecided, and they do a recount. When they did the recount, the Hillary captain, instead of counting how many were on the Hillary side now, just took the number she already had and tacked on the number that a number that she said were ones that came over. She never recounted the total to see if any had left from her side. And
actually, at that point, they had told the Bernie that it was done for the night. They could go home.
Right.
Then they did the count. If they just had forgotten to count, although I would have been upset, I wouldn't be as upset. But when they refused to recount the Hillary voters after telling the Bernie voters they could leave, that was wrong, because I believe a lot of the Hillary voters left, and we can't know because they got to write down what the record was.
And that happened in Nevada.
There were things going on all over, because I remember watching, like, each of the caucuses, I was watching videos, any videos anybody put up, and there were all kinds of things, shenanigans even, that were happening all over. It was just one thing after another, but it was never like the same thing that they did in each place. I mean, if they would take people off the voter rolls in one place, they do something else at a caucus in another. So you couldn't really see the pattern, unless you were looking to say a lot of things are happening. But if they did the same thing everywhere, then you'd know there was a pattern, and you could, pretty much prove that, they were doing this on purpose. So they were smart in that people in each area pretty much chose how they were going to do it. But I think the word went down somehow, do it,
Did anybody catch, there was a woman, I'm pretty sure it was Arizona, and she actually put it on Facebook where she went into her election office or whatever, and she filmed it, and she said, look, my registration has been changed. And she put it all, posted it all, and showed what they had in the computer. I think it was, I don't remember if she was registered. I think she was registered independent, and they had switched it to Republican. And that was online, showing the evidence.
Yep, I remember that, and also I remember the recordings of a lawyer. I think it was in Nevada, who was like running a Hillary office or something, and said, you can do anything you want, just don't get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened here in Pennsylvania. Somebody was in a polling station. We had them polls where you just push a button, and Bernie's button wouldn't light up when you push it.
Oh, yes, I saw that too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of evidence.
When you went to vote, everybody was out there with Hillary stuff. I didn't see nothing up of Bernie Sanders at all. I'm like, they're not supposed to be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Coincidence that every place that something happened, it favored Hillary.
Yeah. So you guys are, I'm sure, all familiar with that. It's titled "Democracy Lost." That was the Election Justice USA. That sort of it outlined all of these different things that happened all around the country. I'll post it also.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Lee Camp was reporting on that when that first came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I found out about it.
Yeah, for every caucus and primary that there was on Twitter, on Facebook, I posted a whole list of numbers to call if you had any kind of issue. and just said, be careful because there's shenanigans happening all over the place. I'm going to keep saying that word, even doesn't like it, and but just to be careful in that if any, and telling them don't leave the line if you're still in line when it closes, and giving a whole set of instructions every time with every primary or caucus.
Yes. So disgraceful. It's disgraceful. That primary, and it seemed like, I don't know if you guys were kind of feeling this, but it seems like every other day or every 2 to 3 days, every new state in the primary that was prepping and preparing or starting to, or that have already given their votes or about to, there were just massive problems, just problem after problem. It's like I've never seen it before. I've never seen so much chaos, and it just kept happening over and over.
Yep.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you need to go to this website, trustvote.org. That's what I was watching through the primary, and that's the one Cliff Ehrenbeck was hooked up with, and it's located in California.
Right. I think that is the guy. I was trying to think of his name earlier. Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah.
I think I follow him on Twitter. Yeah, I just wonder what.
He feared for his life too.
Yeah, and I think, didn't they say that they had shown in a previous election or something that there were things going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when against Gore and Bush.
And Kerry.
What's his name? Ken Starr did something because he was sick too. It's a video. They have an actual video on there, and they have a video on it when Cliff Ehrenbeck said the people that's helping Hillary and her campaign is doing an injustice to her. They are falsifying the polls and the exit polls, and he said Bernie actually won the nomination.
And that may or may not be true. Unfortunately, at this point, we'll probably never know because they've either tampered with the evidence so thoroughly that we'll never be able to get an official count, or they're too incompetent to be able to actually be bothered to.
Yep.
Either way, there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions, I think, that are going to be left after all this.
There's too many. It's not just the primary. It's just keeps.
It's just what?
It's North Korea. I'm kind of gathering my thought here because it's almost overwhelming when I look at the broad spectrum of exactly what our media has decided to control us with, or to share with us. Let's just say another word, but it just never fucking stops. It's like, somebody said, who's watching the watchers, but then who's watching the watchers that are watching those watchers? And I just don't see any end to it. It's just, so Caitlin Johnson is really setting something up that I think is huge, which is everybody's sick of this. We're just tired. We're fed up. We're sick and tired of being double-crossed and triple-crossed and lied to and bullshitted to. And because what happens is a few years later, even months later, recently it's just been like days later, that we're finding out that we're being bullshitted, an hour later. Like somebody says something that, oh, this what happened, and then somebody else finds out, and they've done the research, and they've given all the facts, and it's all tangible, real facts that the first person who was part of the establishment media just blatantly lied to our faces a few minutes ago. And Caitlin Johnson is this has to be a movement that has to be a precedent. We were just talking about this last night. What's the number one thing that we should prioritize in regards to policy?
Right.
We were saying in single payer, blah, 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 blah. But by God, we need to put a fucking leash on these media whores.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's so overwhelming. There is so much right now that needs to be addressed, and where do you start? And yes, the root of it is money and politics, but with the people that are in, there's no way to address it because they're not going to change that. So with the issues that they're attacking, I mean, everything, the whole safety net, the environment, everything, where do you start and what takes priority to help the most people? It's like everything at once is hitting.
Well,
somebody said on here tonight that some of the establishment Democrats are using some of Bertie's platform. I would like to know what establishment Democrat has been using it, because I haven't heard one.
Well, it just seems like there's some, rhetoric that will kind of come out of, I don't know, Ro Khanna comes to mind. Like he's kind of trying to speak to that.
Oh,
and we're all going, oh, we've heard this
I
before.
don't like him. When he was interviewed with Tim, I just kind of, he get money from Silicon Valley. He's Obama 2.0. I think he got
well, that's his district, though. He represents Silicon Valley. So the people that are from Silicon Valley give him money because that's who works there. Like they're saying that he gets it from the industry, but that's because there's a bunch of low-level employees in Silicon Valley that work there, and they give money to his campaign because they're progressive people who want to save the environment, and they're smart people. They're young people, a lot of them. And so what other candidate is there? I mean, there's Ro Khanna, and then there's his corporatist opponent who is colluding with super PACs and is taking corporate money. It's like Ro Khanna. It's like I was skeptical at first. Like at first, I was like ready to dump him because I thought he got all his money from Silicon Valley, and then I did some research and I found out that the super PAC that was supposedly supporting him was actually set up by the people who wanted his opponent to win because they were trying to make him look bad, like as if it was his super PAC, even though there's no evidence to show that he's ever like wanted a super PAC or anything like that. Like he is what he says he is as far as his voting record and everything. He's never done anything to earn our distrust yet.
I agree with you to a point there, Lucas. The one point of contention I have with Ro is what came out in WikiLeaks, and the discussion that Podesta and others had about him being their Trojan horse. I'm sorry, I found that to be extremely compelling. Yeah. We saw this with Obama. We don't need another lackey of the establishment basically being a way to sheep herd us back into the DNC. I'm not falling for that shit again.
Exactly.
Me either.
I'm sorry. I'm done. I've had enough with it.
Exactly.
I'm fucking done too. So I just said that. So Ro Khanna, I don't know how he came in. Jimmy brought him in. Jimmy, which I don't know why he does this, but he still, for some reason, Jimmy Dore, he still for some reason believes that.
I think it was Chink that brought him in.
No, I'm talking about. No, Ro Khanna was on the Jimmy Dore show.
Yeah, he was doing Jimmy Dore, but I think Chink brought him in.
I think Chink set that up.
Yes. So still, but the thing is it's. I think TYT and what HA says and what a lot of people are saying is that TYT is the last hope. The last Dumbocratic hope that they have. And I think there's something going on with TYT, and then it's all about the media and who has control. So,
I mean, just 3 years ago, he would have torn Joe Manchin to shreds during that interview. He would have held, Elizabeth Warren's feet to the fire during that interview. Just a matter of just a few years ago.
Yes.
But now he's taken this, mittens approach where he's just wanting to be so careful with them. I mean, there was a time where I really respected the work that they did there. And now it just seems like they want to get along. And these people, you can't get along with them when they are absolutely opposed to helping the people in this country.
Exactly.
You can't work with them. You can't.
Well, he got that fusion deal. And after that fusion deal, it really changed. They became corporate to me after that.
Well, I brought this up not too long ago.
They still asking for people like us who really don't have much of anything for donations. Somebody they don't have the money. What the hell is he talking about?
The most disgusting is the emails from wherever that say $27. I'm like, really? But no, I was going to say, go look up Air America, Rachel Maddow. I brought that up a few nights ago.
Oh, yeah,
and listen to her. I mean,
night and day.
He was the bomb back in the day on Air America.
Totally night and day.
It's just
and Keith Olbermann has changed.
Aggressive.
Definitely, no question.
I was shocked. A lot of the people I used to respect and love on the news, they have lost to me because I find them an idiot. They, like children, want to go after every little thing Trump tweets. That's
right.
Why don't you go after him about his policies?
Could you repeat that?
I said, why don't they go after Trump for his policies? Why are you going after every little tweet he has done?
Because they support his damn policies.
Yeah, they're almost directly in line with a lot that he's doing. That's the sad part. But like Hard Bastard, I think, was saying the other day. No, I think it was Stephen Grombine. Is he said that the reason why they don't, the establishment and these and all the senators and reps out there don't mention certain political platform issues is because that's money that they won't receive anymore. They don't want to bring up, infrastructure, which takes away money from the MIC. Because they're so dependent on all that stuff. But I'm telling you, I need a picture to help me to get serenity. You guys remember? I don't know. Some people, I used to watch Friends because I had to because of my ex-wife. So I created this picture.
Sorry.
Because like that. Serenity now, serenity now, serenity now.
Wasn't it Seinfeld?
Yeah, it was. It was Seinfeld. Yeah, it's just it's gotten so nuts.
Subjected you to, right?
Seinfeld was awesome.
So okay, with aligning with some on, I don't know what to even call it, the right, whatever. This is I mentioned this earlier. This chat room that I'm in that I don't really participate in. Okay. I thought he was going to add something, but they're just absolutely totally against what Caitlin Johnstone is saying about aligning anything at all with these people on the right.
Who?
This is just a chat room that I wound up in.
Okay.
Very progressive chat room, but I mean they're very much anti-establishment Democrats, but they do not like that. They're totally against. Like, I get it. Like, okay, for example, Cernovich, and I don't know that much about him.
Fuck that person.
I don't like him, and I don't think I can align with him.
Fucking splurge.
Okay, well, thank you. That was my interpretation, but I don't know that much about him.
Who is this guy?
So
The
where
Gamergate scumbag.
Okay, so there are plenty of those people on the whatever you want to call it, the alt-right, neo-Nazi, whatever, that we don't, of course. I don't think Caitlin
trash.
was really meaning that, but she did say Cernovich. So this progressive chat group that I've just basically kind of lurk in, they were just like going crazy over that article that she wrote and couldn't believe it. We can't align with that. And I just wonder what you guys think about, I don't know. I mean, to me, the line is if it's racist talk, if it's, that kind of stuff, then no, of course not. But I don't know if they just have always been in liberal bubbles, so they don't even know how to talk to other people on another side, or what it is. I think I have recently just really realized how much, even though I've considered myself pretty liberal for a long time, the fact that I come from like at least one side of my family is very Republican, that I have been exposed to different ways of thinking, whether it's just they think about economics differently. So I don't know, I'm really seeing that divide. Like liberal people I know just can't get out of their mindset. Like I guess they've just never experienced other ways of thinking. I don't know.
I mean,
I think it's less that.
Go ahead.
No, I think it's less that, but trust me, in my experience with observing Mike Cernovich, there is a very good reason why I imagined a lot of these progressives, especially women, would be highly against any sort of alliance with that kind of ilk. Because the thing with Cernovich is that he basically jumped in on a dogpile, on what essentially turned into an anti-feminist dogpile in order to boost himself. And not only that, he was using it in order to promote an ideology which was not built on any platform of activism, but was specifically intended to undermine those who were working for women's rights, for men's rights, and exploiting the victimization cases of victimization of men in order to push the narrative of misogyny, racism, and bigotry, and to suggest an alignment with that, even to achieve our own political objectives. I can understand completely why that would be offensive to somebody,
right?
Who had to go through that, and who was who basically were at the beck and call for Mike Cernovich and his ilk's racism and harassment.
Right. But so, okay, and here's a good example. So we know that right now, those guys really like WikiLeaks, right? And
yeah, because it's convenient for their narrative.
Convenient, exactly. And all the Democrats and everyone, the liberals, all hate Russian WikiLeaks. So I guess it's just, how do I put it? It's trying to gain traction and exposure for the truth to come out. And I think that's what she meant. But when I first saw it, I tweeted out something. I don't agree with the Cernovich, any kind of alignment there. But I guess my concern now is that it's going to make people against any kind of working with the other side, I don't know, taboo. I don't.
Yeah, but like that. I mean, Caitlin should have known. I mean, this isn't like Cernovich's record. It should have been well known to anybody who had been paying attention for like the past 3 or 5 years. You didn't even have to necessarily know about Gamergate, but you could certainly understand some of the periphery stuff, like the growth of the men's rights movement or the alt-right, to understand where Mike Cernovich came from, and then to highlight him as the sort of reasonable choice. It sort of highlights the sort of, to me, it highlights a sort of arrogant, even if it's not necessarily directly just outright arrogance, it does simplify a very significant ignorance to the realities that had been going on the internet for quite some time before she had peeked in.
Right.
because the alt-right did not appear out of a fucking vacuum. They were using moments like Gamergate in order to specifically bolster their numbers, in order to recruit people into their movement. That's why Milo Yiannopoulos became such a huge thing. It wasn't because he was making really profound critiques about transgendered people or Democrats. It was Gamergate that propelled him to stardom by making this anti-SJW narrative and disseminating it to the populace. And that's where he got his big following from. And then there were plenty of other people who had jumped in on this from the alt-right as well. You had people like Davis Orini, Sargon of Akkad, Thunderfoot, The Amazing Atheist, and so on and so forth, who had jumped in on this bandwagon of anti-feminist nonsense. And it specifically... and some of these people weren't necessarily conservatives either. Some of them were people who, by and large, identified as liberal, but for whatever reason, did not have a very keen taste for social justice, because most of these people tended to derive from a place of a "fuck you, got mine" attitude. So, really, to suggest that an alliance with those kinds of people, the people who do not recognize the necessity for achieving an equal society between men and women, who think that black people are thugs and criminals, who think that Islam is literally out to destroy the world, and that trans people are actually guys who are trying to rape little girls in bathrooms. Yeah, those people do not deserve any degree of credibility in my eye or view. And really, the fact that we're actually having to discuss this, I don't mean this as an offense to you. It's more that, to me, it comes across as an exemplary of the lack of understanding that a lot of people have of the movement itself as a whole.
Hey, I just want to say I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, where is that
I know.
line? So that's been the discussion. I knew he was bad news. I didn't know all that stuff you know about Gamergate. Bram?
Just want to say good night, everybody. I'm tired. I need to get to bed. I got to be up early for work.
Okay.
Good night. Everybody.
Night.
Was
Good night.
Lost on a map? Were you wanting to say something about? No. So no, I'm glad, Aeolus, that you know more and can tell us more about Cernovich. I just knew he was bad news, and I don't even remember really specifics, and I didn't know any Gamergate stuff. But that's kind of what's going on right now in that whole drama. And then so that's what Caitlin Johnstone was sort of. I don't even know if she was promoting it. She was just saying, if we have to take down the whatever establishment. I don't know. You can read the links.
Here's what I was thinking. I mean, when you go to your job, do you get along with all your coworkers? I mean, most likely you don't. And there's going to be people that you disagree with, but you all go to that job to serve a common purpose, which is to work for this company or whatever. And so, that's kind of how, that's how we had to do things here during Mine Wars. It's how we've always had to do things. Sometimes, maybe I'm wrong, but, I think sometimes you have to work with people that you don't necessarily get along with or that you don't like, just in order to get that common goal achieved.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it would do to your own cause, if it would hurt you more. There's some people that I guess would be, I don't know too much about Michael Cernovich, but within reason, you know what I'm saying? Within reason.
Yeah, within reason, it's certainly fine now, but I make this as a note of caution. Pick your allies very, very carefully.
Yes.
Because, and to be honest, Cernovich is hardly it is bad, but he was hardly the worst that came out of Gamergate. Gamergate and the stuff like that. We kind of realized very quickly to not really take him seriously after he tried to advertise for his own sport sex enhancements on his fucking Twitter page. So it was pretty easy to dismiss him for any serious critique. But if it weren't for the fact that he was also leading harassment and dogpiling campaigns against women online.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta like balance your long term. You know, how's this going to affect you in the long term? Being tied to people like that versus short term goals, I guess.
Well, this is the line from the Mint Press article about it. It says, okay, ostensibly their venom, people, complaining about this, is primarily due to the fact that John Stone has called for an explicitly limited collaboration with individuals on the alt-right on specific issues such as deep state lies and propaganda spewed out in the corporate media. I don't know. Read this article, see what you think, Aeolus. I'd love to hear more what you think about this.
Yeah, I might give it a read through tomorrow in between my studies for my mathematics exam. But
it's a dangerous. I agree. It's a very dangerous area, I think.
Yeah, that I would. To be honest, I'd be extraordinarily skeptical of any sort of alliance with the alt-right, especially given that they've had a rather nasty tendency of killing off lefties once they get into any position of power.
Anybody else want to add?
But if there's, are we talking about collaboration and some cohesiveness to take down the establishment? Is that where we're at?
Well, yeah, it's the Mint Press article. I posted it a while back in the chat.
Okay.
And it's saying just for an explicitly limited collaboration on specific issues such as deep state lies and propaganda spewed by corporate media.
Okay, yeah. So as long as there's guidelines and they follow the guidelines, once they step out of the box, which, I mean, we could do it on our end too, but as long as we know as long as all sides that are left, right, in between centrist, far right, far left, as long as everybody knows what the goal is, as long as everybody stays towards that goal and to that target, because people could use this in so many other ways, and you could almost see CNN jumping aboard at some point for in some way trying to jump on the train of getting rid of fake news. It's so we got to make sure if that were to happen, we just have to make sure that for damn sure everybody follows the guidelines, stays on track. Anybody who gets outside the lines, then they're gone.
Yeah,
I don't know, but like a warning. Should we give them a warning first, or give them a timeout?
Yeah, my husband's saying the enemy of your enemy is not your friend. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, James, CNN will come out there and try to turn us against one another. They always want to stir up violence. Because when they came to Ferguson, the people really didn't want them there because they said, all you coming here is to see some violence.
Yeah, I think there's...
Everybody.
Oh, hi.
It's Don Bay.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hey.
How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Do you want to chime in on this discussion, or do you have another topic?
So, like Shirley said, like when CNN and I remember when I was down there during that Ferguson stuff, and MSNBC they were like locked in this like little fence thing, and it was Chris Hayes and some other guy. I don't know who he was, but Chris Hayes was like far in the back, and then he had like this other dude up there, and There was people going by yelling and screaming at them, telling them that they were liars, and somebody started throwing stuff at them, and Chris Hayes just looked like he was about to sue his pants. But all that coverage they were showing with that stuff on fire was probably like maybe 4 city blocks at the most. It was all in a controlled area. The whole town, the media made it look like they were burning everything, but it actually wasn't. It was just like you just drive down, like you start at one area and you drive maybe like 4 blocks and it was done. So they were all concentrated in one area. They had both ends of the road that they were on. The police were on both ends, had everything pretty much blocked off. So the media just made it look like that the whole city was on fire, but actually it was just literally, I'm probably exaggerating with the 4 blocks. But yeah, the media, because they just kept showing the same images over and over again.
Oh yeah, it's all staging.
As usual.
Yeah.
I know this caller's voice. He's on Tim Black's show sometimes.
Yeah.
On the phone.
And because I was in that same area working when Mike on a Wednesday, Mike Brown had got killed on a Saturday. I was just in that because the company I worked for does some properties back in that area, and what it is, you go in one way and they got all the other streets that surround those apartments and stuff where he was killed at. It's blocked off. They got the streets like fenced in, so it's only one way in there, and literally the way you come in is the only way you can get out. But yeah, it wasn't the whole town wasn't on fire. It was just like a few blocks. They just wasn't like showing it because there's a lot of big shopping areas that was over in that area too, big mini malls and stuff, and none of that stuff got touched.
Right.
It was just
There's a real.
Would never know it.
Yeah, if you didn't live in that area, you would have thought that they were like completely just turning stuff completely apart, but it actually wasn't. They were skewing the coverage of that stuff.
And when you realize that, James, a little bit ago, you mentioned North Korea. I don't know if this is what you were meaning at all, but when I first saw that thing where the guy rips the Bernie sign out of the woman's hands, because it was the event where Bernie came out and endorsed Hillary, and they wanted to have it on the news where it was like, oh, yay, Hillary, everyone's for Hillary. And it didn't dare want to have some Bernie signs, on camera. So it was totally staged. And when I saw that and ripped the sign out of her hand, it just had this sick feeling like, oh my God, like, really what's on TV is not reality at all. The news is so fake. And then when we went to Philly, it was the same feeling. And you just had that like Oz and looking behind the curtain. And it's like, it's mind blowing. Like once you realize that, it is truly mind blowing. I mean, we were just, we were outside by if you've seen any of the footage, where they had people basically in a cage, where they had the democracy coffin and they were marching it through FDR Park. I don't think any of that was on the news.
None of that stuff was. None of it was. None of that stuff was. I know that coffin that you're talking about because I seen somebody had posted a video on YouTube and they were showing the people walking down the street with that coffin, but they didn't show none of that on mainstream news. They didn't show any other people out there protesting at all.
Oh yeah, they just cut to the balloons and who was it? I don't remember who performed, musicians and stuff at the DNC, but it was just so fabricated and it was so unsettling. It was just, I had this, I think I said to Michael something about North Korea, like what's next? Fake fruit in the windows?
Probably.
Well, the whole DNC, the national convention for the Democratic Party was completely insane.
314.
Oh, okay.
Oh, your mic.
Yeah, see,
is that better?
A little.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
But
I just want to hear what you got. Sounds great.
But like
No, like remember when like at the convention when Hillary was giving her speech, the cameras didn't show it was somebody up front with a big old giant sign like on a long tall pole, and every now and then they would glimpse and catch it, but then they would move or switch cameras and you couldn't see it, but it had the sign saying that she was crooked and all kind of stuff like right down there in front of her while she's giving this speech, but the camera. They wouldn't put it on. Whenever they panned out from the back, it'll creep in there, and then they will hurry up and switch cameras so you couldn't see it.
Yep. I think one of the banners said WikiLeaks, didn't it? Or somebody had posted that. Yeah, it's
and they put up the white noise things, the quiet, the blurred out Bernie Sanders delegate.
Yep. Yep.
And they put on Craigslist to get people to come fill seats when Bernie delegates left the convention.
I did see that. Was that a Bernie delegate posted that on Facebook, I think. That's where I saw that.
Yeah, they actually posted a Craigslist ad online for people to fill in seats for that convention.
Yeah, that 2016 primary pretty much destroyed the Democratic Party.
Yes, it did.
I don't see how they'll ever be able to recover for that because I can't even justify myself voting for anybody. Like if it's some like local or something that maybe I might agree with, but other than that, I'm trying to convince everybody I possibly can to make them lose. Just finish them off and be done with them. Because if you get rid of them, I think the Republicans will be easy.
Get rid of who?
Get rid of the Democrats first, and the Republicans will fold. Because they're all stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
they're all dumb. They don't.
Yeah, of course, but
they couldn't win on their own ideas.
Yeah, I'm just.
The Republicans already admitted they cannot govern.
No, this proves it already. They got the whole Congress and the president, and they can't even get to that crappy health care bill.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you right there they can't govern because that bill should have been already passed. All that stuff should have been passed. Like they've been not caring about the citizens. So who cares if you got people at your town hall protesting? If you got the majority in both houses and the president, who cares? Ram it through. If they're very incompetent, and it's like that on the Democratic side too. They incompetent too.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't put any of us right here in this chat right now. They would not even remotely put us in those positions at all because we're not yes ma'ams and yes sirs. Right. They are. And anybody that's going to cause any little trouble, they going to get rid of them because they don't want any problems.
Yeah, by any means necessary.
Yep.
That's why it does seem like something's going to have to happen to bring them down because there are just so many efforts, whether it's Justice Democrats, which I don't really trust, or I don't know, just people trying to pose as progressives. You know?
Oh, there's a lot of them. It's a lot of them out there. There's a whole bunch of them. But if you just listen, sometimes you just gotta listen. It's a lot of people I used to listen to, but I don't listen no more. And they all got the same talking points. They'll switch a few words up, but the core message that they trying to get out, it stays the same. And sometimes you might have to watch the video twice. If you listen close enough, you will see it and be like, okay, I get it. And yeah, I figured that out with a lot of people when I started finding different independent media outlets to go to for news because I couldn't stomach the corporate media stuff. And people that I thought was actually down for the cause, once certain events start taking place, you can hear them slowly changing up. what they were saying in so many ways. Like they might say something that you agree with on the social issue, but then on something that's really crucial, they'll say something like neoliberalism holds the line against conservatives. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Well, name the persons you're talking about.
Benjamin Dixon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who?
Benjamin Dixon.
Benjamin Dixon.
He said that, and he made
Randy Rhodes.
I was listening to her when she was on America.
Yeah, well, somebody called on her show when I was listening to it, and they said something negative about Hillary. She hung up on them, and she's like mainstream media now. Russia.
Her, Nicole Sandler.
Nicole Sandler hung up on me like 2 weeks ago. I called in. She wanted to talk to people that voted for Jill Stein. And I called in. I said, yeah, I'm from Philly. I voted for Jill Stein. Well, why did you vote for him? Oh, God, we got Trump. Oh, well. The Democrats knew what they were doing.
Oh, well. I like that.
And she hung up on me.
Apparently she didn't really want to hear, huh?
And Tom Hartman. I was shocked.
If you tried to bring up any criticism of Hillary Clinton on Tom Hartman show, talking about, I watched the show and seen people call in and talk about how they was cheating, burning. He shut that stuff down so quick. I ain't never seen Tom Hartman act like that. But
sorry.
When shit hit the fan, you know who see, this one thing, it opened my eyes up so wide. I know who my allies are, and I know who the ones they're not. When it was time to choose sides, all the people you really thought was on your team, they wasn't, and they revealed themselves. So I just took it as a learning lesson and kept on going, like, okay, I know not to mess with you. You are now against the people. You know, social issues, they'll be down for social issues to an extent, but when it comes down to actually putting money in poor people's pockets, they gon' be like, feet don't fail me not. They do not got your back.
And Tom Hartman, he told me, I think the Democrats are really doing a good job. And then he's inviting this guy every week. What is his name? Tom Pocan. He doesn't impress me at all.
I did not realize that about Tom Hartman.
Yep. All they trying to do, him, Tom Hartman, Nicole Sandler, Randy Rhodes, Benjamin Dixon, David Pacman,
Stephanie Miller.
Yep,
Stephanie
Miller. Leslie Marshall, Bob Kincaid, all of them trying to get spots. They washed up has-beens. A lot of them are washed up has-beens. Their prime is over. They're trying to get back into corporate media.
Yeah.
That's why they put in this narrative. They're auditioning for a job. They can give a shit about us or our kids or our grandkids.
Right.
Yeah, because I think they believe that Randy Rhodes after Russia turns out to be a bunch of crap, which it is. We all know that. And a lot of these people that have been pushing Russia on CNN and MSNBC, like Joy Reid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a fucking gigantic list of media whores. These people just can't wait to stand in line to take that. They might not get paid $30,000 a day, but they'll be okay with $5.
Yep. They'll do it for less than $5.
They'll do it for less than $5 just to get on there.
Yep.
I used to watch Tom Hartman too. I used to really enjoy watching his show.
Yeah.
And then I saw how he was railing against Trump about all his, possible corruption and business ties and how, the money and, he's using the office to get more money. And I was like, well, I'll just call in and tell him about my governor, which is doing the same damn thing. And when he heard that he was a Democrat, he shut me down. He would not. He said, well, maybe he's just doing that because he tried to defend them, saying that maybe it's just because those are the businesses in West Virginia that he's just using that to help the state out. And I was like, really? Because that's not what you said about Trump. I mean, if what's good for Trump is good for my governor, right? But because he's got a D next to his name, he wants to defend him, and I won't. I don't put up with that crap. I quit watching him after that.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm watching this guy on YouTube. He come on at 5 every day for 3 hours from 5 to 8. He's a Republican. I don't agree with some things he say, but he's really, really good. Another person from a chat room told me about him. His name is Mike Rivero. And you get to see his videos on YouTube through Ron Gibson. This guy is good. He's in Hawaii.
Huh.
And you can call into his show. I haven't called in yet. I listen to him every day.
What's some of the stuff he's saying that you like? Or
he knows about he's concerned about Trump because he wanted Trump. He's happy that Trump talked to Putin and we're not bombing Syria anymore right now with that ceasefire and he just honestly he agrees with a lot of stuff we want, but his show was really good. It really is. Because I was like,
what's his name again? One more time, please. Sorry.
His name is Mike Rivero, Rivero, and you go through Ron Gibson YouTube page, and you can get him live on that channel.
Okay.
Mike Rivero.
He's really good. He come on 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. He's really good. He talked about the economics, and he talked about what the government is doing, and you know it's right, and the CIA is taking over on Trump and stuff. He's not really running the country, and he talks about all this stuff. Same thing we talking about.
I'm going to put this up. Just tell me if this is the guy. It seems like this is the guy. Is that the guy?
Let me see.
Yeah,
that's the Mike Rivero.
Let me see.
Can you see that?
No, I can't see.
Oh.
Is it a green screen?
Yep.
It's a green screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
That's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had like a vision impairment or something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's in Hawaii and he always answers his phone calls there. Aloha.
I like this guy already.
Yeah. And he dressed casually, had a little commercial running. He'd get up and walk away, and his wife comes on every Friday in that last hour, and she's very nice. So it's a really good show.
So you said you don't agree with everything. Is there anything in particular that I don't know?
I forgot one thing he said I didn't agree on, but I can't remember what it was. The majority of the stuff he talks about, we agree on. Honestly, we agree on these wars. He talk about mainstream media. They're not telling you different things. He gets you on about what's going on in economics, what the mainstream media is not telling you. He's against mainstream media. Totally.
So he's doing this on his own. Oh, you said he's on another person's channel, right? Or through?
Yeah, some other guy.
Oh, I see.
I don't know how that goes, but some other guy, Ron Gibson.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Puts on the show. They have other shows on this station, but he actually comes on live at 5 o'clock. He takes calls from 5 to 8.
Okay. Oh, maybe we'll have to call then.
Yeah, he's really good. Now Bernie supporters are called in there.
I see this.
Bernie supporters all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they're like all over the place. People I never even thought, and people, I would be shocked. I remember one time I was at this little nursery I go to and buy flowers and stuff in my garden. A guy seen my Bernie sticker on the back of my truck, and he came in and was asking me who was the Bernie guy, and when I told him it was me, he was kind of shocked. But no, I just started telling him I learned about Bernie Sanders when I used to listen to the Tom Hartman show, and Bernie would come on there and
every Friday
and take questions, and I was like, man, I might not agree with everything he's saying, but it sounds like he's not a bush for around. You know, he seemed like he was like being as honest as he could, you know, from his perspective. And I thought that was pretty neat because you don't even get that on your local, from your local politicians. And every parade in the little town I stay in, every time it's a parade, you got these state representatives in this area, you know, they're trotting down in the parade trying to people, and you start asking them questions, and they'd be like, "Oh, I got to keep it moving," and they don't want to. You start asking them about issues, they just hurry up and get out of your face, and it's pretty messed up. The politics is bad too. It's like that, just like everywhere else. Missouri is bad too. It's corrupt all the way down to the local levels in these towns. The same stuff they was doing in Ferguson, using police as money collectors, they do that in all the little small municipalities all across the state. They do it in the town I live in. All you got to do is just drive out of the little city hall building every third Tuesday of the month, and everybody's out there for little petty stuff.
So you're in a small town? I forget where you are.
I live in a small town, probably about 56 miles south of St. Louis, in Missouri.
Okay.
And it's like that. It's like that all over this state, and it's sad just some of the stuff, and a lot of people. It's like I feel like they know what's going on, but they really don't care because they ain't directly affecting them. So it's like, long as my bubble's not being busted, fine. And then some people, they get it, and I don't know. It's weird. It just depends on where you go, because southern Missouri is way different from northern Missouri, and the same as eastern Missouri is a little different from western Missouri. It just depends on where you're at.
Well, a lot of our politicians here in Philadelphia are corrupt. I would love to boot everybody out of our city council, but they don't have nobody run progressive against them. And my newly elected mayor, who was against the sugar tax when he was on city council before, and now he's a mayor, because before he was saying, oh, that will hurt the poor people. Now he's mayor, he pushed the sugar tax and they passed it. And that's hurting people. People going to the counties to go buy sodas and stuff so they don't have to pay that tax.
Yes, it's crazy. They do that all the time. They say they for one thing, and then as soon as they get in office, they turn around and do the opposite thing, and it's like, well, I mean, like, how do you fight against that?
And I'm so pissed I voted for that fuck. I'm really pissed. Because I was bamboozled again by Obama and him.
That's how I felt about Obama when they didn't put that public option into that Affordable Care Act. That was the main reason why I voted for him in 2008. It was simply because I knew that I would save about $500 to $600 a month if a public option was in that bill. That's why I voted for him.
Well, that wasn't the only thing I voted for him for. He also said he was going to help unions. When he do the trade deal, he was going to have them at the table. He was going to have transparency in that White House. And that was a bunch of bullshit. He ain't had them unions at that table doing that TPP trade deal.
He never had no plans on doing anything for nobody except for his donors. And he was going. They put him in there. He went in there. He did exactly what his donors told him to do. He made the Bush tax cut permanently. He expanded the 2 wars into 7. He didn't help. He didn't help the African American community, especially the descendants of slaves. He didn't help them at all. And I think they played one of the biggest reasons why he even got in, because I knew people that never voted in their whole life. They went and got registered to vote just to vote for him in 08. And he turned around
and he used to tell our people, pull your pants up.
Yeah, he used to. It kind of started irritating me because when a lot of stuff goes on, like when he went to Newtown and was up there crying and stuff because of the kids, and it was sad. Don't get me wrong, but when you could clearly see, black people getting murdered by the police, and he wouldn't say nothing. It's like every time he said anything to address the black community, all he would do was talk down, especially to black men. He would just talk down to them, and that started bothering me because I'm like, dude. But then when I started doing a little research on Obama, I'm like, he don't understand. He don't understand my plight. This dude's dad was from Kenya. Obama was able to get into Harvard because of his dad was a Harvard alumni. I don't know anybody, black or white, that has a parent that can go to Harvard just because one of their parents went there.
That's right.
When Obama grandma died, she left him $500,000 in stock. I don't know nobody that's gonna get left $500,000 in stock. And then it dawned on me. He don't identify. He can't identify with anybody like me and like a lot of people that I live around now because he's never even been in that situation. He has no clue.
Hey, what is your name?
Huh?
What is your name?
I go by Don Bay because Tim calls me Don Bay, and I tried to tell him a long time ago what my name was, so I just went by that. But if you want to know my real name, I'll tell you.
Well, tell me, because I can tell you another YouTube page you should go to. This woman get over 1,000 viewers.
We were thinking we would rename so we know who you are. Just because sometimes if it's just a phone number, we don't always remember the numbers. So if you're comfortable with putting in any name, it could be a made up thing, but then we'll know it's you.
You could just call me Dorley. People call me a bunch of names. I don't know why, but you can just call me Dorley. It's fine. That's my name. I don't have anything to hide.
You said Darley?
Yeah, like Marley, but except it's with a D.
Oh, okay. You need to check out Yvette Carnell. She comes on.
I watch Breaking Bad.
Oh, you watch Breaking Bad, so you know about it. Yeah. Did you watch it tonight?
I will listen to it while I'm at work tomorrow.
Man, she was talking about R. Kelley.
Army did a video the day before about R. Kelley and those nasty butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude lost his mind completely.
Yeah.
Completely lost his mind. I'd say stay away. That's a walking health hazard.
Mhm.
And a predator too.
But like somebody called in her show tonight and said from California, she said, you know what? It's not just him. R. Kelley was just sloppy with what he was doing. You got NBA and NFL players and all other people in the sports arena. They have houses and they store these young girls in there.
What's the story?
Nobody know about it.
What's the story with R. Kelley?
he had like some kind of sex cult or whatever. He was like, it was a BuzzFeed article that actually was it somebody wrote an article, I think it was in BuzzFeed, but I'm not for sure, and they break it down more than what I can explain it to you, the stuff he was doing. Just Google like R. Kelley / BuzzFeed or something, and it should pop up. But yeah, he had these girls, I guess, and some properties that he owns, and he was training them how he wanted to have sex with them and what he wanted done, and he would promise to make them pop stars or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, because the one girl, how it came out, the one girl escaped.
Yeah.
That's how it came out.
Yeah, it was pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Take their phones away, and then give them a phone that they could only use to call him, and they couldn't call family or anything unless he gave them permission. Stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Take baths or showers.
It's like the
and one girl, she called she put out a thing today telling her grandfather died, begging for her to come to his deathbed. She did not come. And she was like, I'm fine. And she would not say where she was at or how many people were there.
Yeah, when I seen that article and then I was like, oh man, this he took it to a complete whole nother level. I was like, man, it's really disgusting.
But you know what, Darlie? When I saw that video way back in the day,
when he peed
that
on that
sex
girl?
video with that girl, that was him in that video, and that girl was young. I was done with him after that.
Yeah,
and then think of that CD, 12 play. That CD, that was a nice CD. And my husband's like, well, that was 12 play to give him 12 steps to deal with these young girls.
Oh, I know. I remember when that was going on because this guy I worked with, he had gave me like the bootleg tape, and I had took it home, and me and my kid's mom, we had put it in, and like right when the video comes on, it's like that girl's on the stage with a bunch of money in her hand, and then her little nasty butt peed. Then he peed on her, and I was done. It's like, get rid of that stuff. But yeah, it was two of them. It was like one when he was bald headed and one was he with the braids. Now the one chick, when he's with the braids, when he had his braids, she looked like maybe she could have passed for 18. But that other one that he peed on, I knew for it's no way you could convince me that she was an adult. No way. And it was.
And people need to stop. The black community needs to stop supporting them. Because now I hear black women talking about, oh, them women knew what they were doing. They were. I'm like, they were young girls. They were taken.
Yep.
I think that's true with any public figure. I mean, we have, stuff like that happens, or celebrity or whatever. Instead of like excusing that behavior, I don't know.
Just like remember when Michael Jackson kept on getting sued by all them people saying that they was messing with them kids. Now after the first person sued anybody else, I'm a prosecutor. Anybody else that says that their child's been raped by this man, you left your kids with him and stuff like that, I'm gonna file charges against the child endangerment too, because even if he didn't do it, it's just the allegations alone. You're not going to be alone with my kids. Period.
And those accusations took that man down, because I never believed he did anything to children. I never believed that.
I don't put nothing past nobody. I really don't. I feel like everybody's capable of doing something. He probably did.
I don't know, but
some of the people, they just some little sick, nasty little people, and you don't want to think about it because I grew up listening to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I did too. But did you read Corey Feldman book? Corey Feldman, that book was good. He broke down about him and that other actor, the young actor. He died. He had died. They played in a movie together, and he talked about when the cops brought him down to investigate Michael Jackson and trying to find out if Michael Jackson ever did something to him while he was a kid. He said, no, Michael Jackson never did nothing to me. Never. He gave them names of other people in Hollywood that's doing something to boys.
Yeah,
They didn't want to hear it.
Well, I don't know whether or not, I can't really say. I mean, it's hard to tell because, I love his music, but he also did a lot of work when it comes to reaching out to communities and trying to lift people up. So, look what they did with Julian Assange. They went after him, So, I could see where they would try to slander him and, throw him under the bus, basically. But then again, I don't put anything past anybody.
Oh, whenever they want you bad enough, they'll start. Whenever the sexual accusations start coming out, that means they want to take you down bad.
Yeah.
They want to get you in. When they say, "Oh, he's a pervert too," doing this and this, that's when you know they really trying to get you because they packed it on a lot of people.
Especially when it comes to children, they use that big time during the primaries. Remember, I think it was Debbie Lusignan. They put child porn on one of her things, like posting stuff on there, trying to do stuff, and they'll definitely use that. Yeah, it's a tactic.
They wasn't just doing that to her; they was doing to a lot of supporters. That damn David Brock spent $1 million to put bots out there on social media to attack Bernie Sanders supporters.
I'm surprised they came and put Debbie in a duffel bag and took her somewhere because she was on
That's
that
my girl.
stuff.
She off the chain. That's my girl.
I know a lot of people always had issues with Debbie, but I look at it like she impressed me 2 times, and I was like, okay, she's down for the cause. When she confronted John Lewis, if John Lewis had on tennis shoes that day, he would have ran because it looked like he was ready to run.
And she confronted Bernie Sanders too about the voter fraud in Philly at the convention, and Bernie wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah, she's the only one that I have seen when they had the chance to ask them real questions. She is the only person I have seen actually ask somebody with some power real issue questions, and then it didn't play around with it. Went straight to the point, and she did that twice.
Yeah,
I love her. She doesn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah, I like Debbie.
I love Debbie. She said she's not doing any more politics, no more videos.
It looks like she needs some sleep anyway.
Yeah, so people be telling her to take a Valium.
Like some of her rants is just funny. I have to watch it like twice to actually get what she's talking about. Because the first time I watch it, I'm too busy just laughing because she gets all pissed. And then you can start seeing like her forehead crinkles up and stuff, and she starts spitting. And I just start laughing because it's so funny when she gets pissed. But I like the passion though.
Yeah, I do. Because she's really focused on that election fraud. She's really focused on that.
Oh, they cheated all over the place.
And when Obama took over, had Homeland Security take over our polling machine before he left office.
Yeah, she was bringing. I didn't ever watch a whole lot of her stuff, but I do remember her bringing up the stuff that was happening in Massachusetts, really early on, and saying this is funny because the Sanders campaign is not responding to any of our complaints and telling them what's going on. So,
but you know what? What you got to think about the CIA. I'm talking the deep state. He has to be quiet because They could assassinate Bernie Sanders. Seriously. So that's probably why he's not saying anything. Like Nina Turner. She know about that DNC lawsuit, but she can't speak on it, really.
None of them gonna speak on it because they're gonna be sleeping with the fishes. If anybody goes out there, and say the stuff that actually needs to be said, they are literally gonna have to do that with a bulletproof vest on and some people standing in front of them because they're gonna get killed.
Yes, and that's what pisses me. That's what pisses me off. People getting pissed off at Bernie Sanders. Oh, he ain't saying anything or whatever. It's a reason he's not saying anything. He knows he's going with this Russia thing. He's playing it off with them. He's playing the game.
Whenever somebody that's gonna step up, and it's gonna take more than one person, because whoever steps up and actually really want to fight for the people, they're gonna kill him or her. They're gonna kill him, and somebody's gonna have to be next in line to pick up that medal and keep it going. I don't see no other way. I don't see the way it's going right now. I see no other way. We're not gonna be able to vote them out, unless it's okay. Somebody votes that we want. People vote for them. They get cheated. People gonna have to start turning stuff up. I mean, I don't see no other way at all because they're not gonna give over power that quick. Not that easy.
No.
They will literally die before
So
they
has
give
anybody
the power
seen
structure up.
Lee Camp interviewed the guy? I gotta try to pull it up. Who wrote a book about Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination? Have you guys heard of that guy or the story? It was on Redacted tonight.
What's the name of the guy?
I'm looking it up right now. Sorry, I can't remember the author's name, but he investigated and is convinced there's more to it. You know that it was.
And the guy that supposedly was on death row to assassinate him wasn't the one, because I remember Coretta Scott King and her children was trying to help him get off because they didn't believe he killed Martin Luther King. They believe he was a patsy, like Oswald was for JFK.
Here it is, Dr. Ray. Hold on, I'll post it in the chat. But it is. It was on Redacted tonight. If you look up the true conspiracy to kill Martin Luther King Jr. and it probably says below here. Okay. Lee Camp talks with Dr. William Pepper, an attorney and author of the recent book, The Plot to Kill King, in which Pepper presents evidence that it wasn't, in fact, James Earl Ray who assassinated him. Pepper, an attorney who interrogated Ray a decade after King's death, tells Lee Camp who the real players are behind the shooting.
I don't mean to cut you off. Didn't that James Earl Ray dude, did he escape from prison?
I'm not sure. This is probably a really interesting read, though. I mean, if you watch the little interview with Lee Camp, he talks a lot about different police officers that he interviewed and things that he says Ray's alibi placed him far from the crime scene. Okay. Despite violent threats to Dr. Pepper's family and being lambasted by the mainstream media, the details of his private investigation leave you with no choice but to second guess everything you thought you knew about a death that was a defining moment in the civil rights movement. So anyway, yeah, you could watch this Redacted tonight, and I bet that's a good book.
Yeah, he did escape from prison in 1967.
Did they ever catch him?
Yeah, because when he got caught for Martin Luther King's death, 1968.
After he escaped from prison, did they ever catch him again?
Yeah, they caught him in 1968, and that was for the death of Martin Luther King.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought after he escaped prison, they never found him.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm sure the FBI
no,
or the
he
CIA
died in
were the
in
ones behind
prison.
Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, because J. Edgar Hoover wasn't a fan of Martin Luther King.
And then you
Well,
go.
and the establishment wasn't either. They
Yeah.
turned against him because he started focusing on the Vietnam War.
And
they telling him, no, you don't need to be worrying about that. Just deal with the social issues.
Well, that's the thing. The military-industrial complex, could have been behind Martin Luther King and JFK and all these different figures that were against Vietnam. Oh, and it's also very possible that they all could have been very separate, isolated incidents. I mean, there's like hundreds of conspiracy theories for JFK that all make sense as to why Lee Harvey Oswald shot him. And I remember watching a documentary on it from like the 60s documentary series. They had a whole episode on JFK, and they talk about how there was a second shooter, but it's not who you think. It wasn't some gunman on the grassy knoll. It was actually an accident. And it was whenever they slammed on the brakes, one of the Secret Service agents fell forward. And that's why his brains exploded outward instead of inward. And they found out that if that Secret Service agent hadn't have like lurched forward and like fell and like accidentally fired his gun, he would have survived, but the other bullet severed his spine. So he would have been paralyzed vegetable for the rest of his life.
No, but I saw a documentary that said it was a police officer.
Well, yeah, or watch Oliver Stone's movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the one with the where the Secret Service agent they thought he shot him, and it really looked plausible.
It seems completely plausible. I mean, because like they went through great lengths to hide his identity, and then LBJ made inside jokes about it for his entire presidency.
And it was the guy's first day at work. He'd never handled the gun before, and there was a party the night before, and he was the only agent sober enough to handle the gun. That was part of the show, and it's called JFK: The Smoking Gun. I might be a little bit wrong, but Smoking Gun is in there somewhere.
Okay.
And really, of all of the theories I've heard, when you watch the guy present it, it really looks like it's well thought out and plausible. But again, it's so hard to tell when so many steps appear to be taken to cover it up.
Yeah, there was one guy they had I don't know if it was a Dallas cop or a Houston cop. I think it was a Dallas cop. They had they had him replicate the JFK shooting on a track to prove that someone could get all three bullets out in the amount of time that Lee Harvey Oswald did. And he was the only person in the world that could do it. And he did prove that could happen. But he also knew ballistics, and he said that there was two different types of ballistics used, that like one that went through him and one that exploded inside of him. And they were talking about how one would have been in a Secret Service agent's gun, and one was the type that would have been shot out of the rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald had.
And my former senator, Arlen Specter, with his one bullet theory.
But and then also, whenever you watch the video there, you can even see the Secret Service agent lurch forward with his gun at the proper angle that it could have hit JFK. Because it's very blurry because it's 1960s video, but he does like lurch forward, and it's at the proper angle, like that. If you were to watch the trajectory as whenever his head's blowing up,
Honestly, I think right now, I think they're trying to overthrow Trump, and I think they would try to assassinate him.
I don't know. He's kind of I think that he's an idiot who's going to do whatever they tell him. I don't think that they'll go to the trouble of assassinating him. But with the JFK thing, it was interesting because LBJ was constantly making jokes throughout his presidency. Like whenever visitors would come to the White House, he was like telling them, he's like, oh man, and because like the Secret Service agents would be around, and he'd like whisper in the guy's ear, and he's like, one of these days I have a feeling they're just gonna blow my head off. Or something to that effect. Like he made a joke that was like that.
All I can say, the United Snakes of America.
So there are lots of stories, I think, to keep reading about this week. I think it's going to be a busy news week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm worried about that. What's going on with that cop in Minnesota, Minneapolis, with Philando Castile got killed.
Do what?
The Minneapolis cop that shot and killed that Australian woman.
Oh, right, yes.
For no reason. I didn't know he was the driver in the vehicle, and his partner is talking to this woman, so she wasn't no threat, and he goes over his partner and shoots and kills her. And they said his partner was stunned.
His partner was what?
Stunned.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
Yeah, and it's like before all this happened, the mayor gave him praise because he was a Somali American police officer. I forgot how many Somali American police officers they have. It's not a lot, but he had 3 complaints against him too, ever since he started on the force. And one of them was dismissed, but they're not disclosing what the other 2 are about. But it seems like he's kind of arrogant. He's going to give the condolences to the family, then going to ask for his privacy.
So wait, what were you saying? Was there a connection with the cop who killed Philando?
No. There's no connection with that, but that's the same state.
Oh, okay.
Philando was killed, and what's the kicker? If this cop gets off for killing this woman, he'll only be exonerated because they didn't come up with their body cameras on and the dash cam on in the car.
Insanity. I don't know. I mean, how does everyone here feel about if you see blue lights?
Do what?
If you see blue lights, if you're about to get pulled over, I mean, how does everyone here feel about that? It's like, I don't know where they're getting these.
I'm more nervous now than I was back in the day as a kid when I was a teenager, because I was always brought up, me and my brother and my sisters, about cops. And, one day when my brother was walking to the store, we were just walking to the store, and these boot cops came out. I'm like, oh, shit, those are bad cops. They will kick your ass with some boots. But they was just asking us where we was going. There was nothing going on, just asking us where we were going, a couple of questions. Did they let us go? But it's still uncomfortable because there's no reason for us to be stopped. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I still never felt threatened back then like I do now, because they wasn't shooting people like this back then.
Right.
It's like they just trigger happy. Where's the tasers? They give them tasers. They don't even use them no more.
Honestly, I mean, maybe the last few years it might have gone up now that it's being publicized and the cops are like more jumpy than ever. But since they started counting, they said that they think that the numbers have actually gone way down, because up until 2015 or 2014 or something like that, or maybe it was 2013 even, the FBI never counted. Like, they never kept track of all the people across the country. And a lot of the newspapers have always covered it up, because if the cops accidentally shot someone who was innocent, they just took a gun with the serial number filed off and placed it on the person and said that it was self-defense. And that's what a well-documented thing that's been going on for over 60 years now.
I was
Well,
wondering
you
that.
can't believe no FBI statistics now since Trump is in office, because he's taking away everything.
Well, whatever the numbers are, I mean, we certainly hear about it all more now. So,
I mean,
right
I don't trust them at all. I mean, like, I grew up, everybody told me, the cops are the good guys and trust the cops. And then, I've had several run-ins with cops that were just awful, awful, awful people. And on top of that, every time I even see a cop, they don't even have to be pulling me over. If I even see a cop, my stomach just clenches. I'm so terrified that I'm going to be pulled over. And I know, and it's not like a matter of, because it's a possibility that I could be shot and killed too. But it's more the fact that if I get any kind of like ticket, that's it. My license is done. Like, I can't afford to pay it. So if I get pulled over, that's it. Driving, abilities just revoked. So, it's terrifying every time I see a cop, and I have to drive past them, or I did like all the time, when I was taking my son to school, twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon. And it was just constantly just fear. And that's just for losing my license,
Yeah,
But
civil
my thing
asset
is,
forfeiture scares
before
me.
these cops get on the go to these police academies, they need to go back to old school. Like when my husband applied, they went and talked to his friends to find out what he was doing. They watched him and stuff. They don't do that anymore. Like here, we have I think I forgot the name of the cops that the something six. They were actually stealing from drug dealers. They went to trial and stuff, a federal trial, but they brought juries from the suburbs. And I'm like, oh, they going to get the hell off, because they got the jury from the suburbs. They don't know nothing about city life. And they never believed any of the drug dealers. They was hanging these people over the balcony, like in the movie New Jack City. They didn't believe them. And they got off. And they back on the force. And a lot of them have issues before they get on the force. And then you got soldiers, U.S. soldiers, former U.S. soldiers getting on the force that had PTSD. And that's another thing now. Because it's just crazy, especially for a black person. Me as I'm scared to call a cop, but like one day some cop that was banging on my door. I'm like, oh well, what the hell did I do? But he came here knocking because I have cameras up and somebody claimed something happened. Somebody was shot on my block, which never happened. But it's that fear.
Yeah, civil asset forfeiture is what scares me, because there's no, because if they take your stuff, there's no way to get it back. Because if they take your stuff and never charge you with anything, there's no legal procedure you can go through to get your stuff back. It's just their property now. And that's how in a lot of the big cities, they pull over rich people. And then a year later, after the Lamborghini or the Ferrari's been impounded for a year, they can use that as their squad car.
Yeah, and now Jeff Sessions wants to increase forfeitures.
Of course he does.
Well, wait a minute. That was always in place, and Jeff Sessions, this was in place under Obama?
Yes, it's been in place for years and years and years and years. There's actually groups that go around. There's actually groups that go around giving seminars to police officers.
Man.
There's actually private companies that go around and they're paid to give seminars to police officers to how to legally steal from the local populations.
You know who it is? That's the Israelis. They use Israeli contractors to train our police. That's another thing. So they training them to treat us like they treat the Palestinians. Like tonight, right now, the Muslims and the Israeli police are fighting right now.
I mean,
And
they're
that's what
just
they
like,
want with us.
they're like every high school bully, just shaking you down for lunch money, except in this case, it's your car or whatever it is. I mean, it's all about taking the wealth from the people. They cannot stand if they see you having anything, they'll come after it. And it's all about taking your wealth, every single bit of it. And all they're doing is enforcing these, big wigs at the top. That's what they're doing.
Oh,
They can't let you have anything.
it's even worse than that in a lot of places because it's not just that one police officer. Like in Ferguson, Missouri, I mean, Ferguson, Missouri was a huge racket for that police force. Like that police force paid a bunch of the city's taxes through parking tickets or through tickets. Like, and it was always to the black people. Like, and they had a big operation where they would go into the poor neighborhoods and commit like a dozen civil asset forfeitures in a day and just steal from black people all the time. Like that was like a thing that they did. And same in Baton Rouge. Like Baton Rouge and Ferguson are two police departments that are notoriously corrupt and that have a really, really infamous habit of stealing from the black population in their areas. And those are two police departments that should be completely disbanded, and everyone who works for them should never be allowed to work in the police force ever again. And they should hire new people. Like in reality, we should nationalize all the police forces and make it so and create a federal standard, then say that everyone who wants to be a police officer has to go through 4 years of college, just like any other job. And you have to get a bachelor's degree in policing. And so you have to learn how to de-escalate situations. You have to take psychology and sociology to learn like how people are thinking and why they're thinking what they are. You need to take a course on how to properly handle a firearm and when to use a firearm. And then, maybe courses on different firearms. I mean, you could come up with a list. I mean, there's a lot that they need to take that they don't. I mean, like I said in previous chats, you have to have almost like 10 times as many hours to become, or not 10 times, but like almost twice as many hours, or more than twice as many hours to become a cosmetologist in Ohio than you do to be a police officer.
Yeah, it takes 2 years to be a cosmetologist here and 6 months to become a cop. I mean, this is, it comes back to money again because they don't want to fund the police. They're understaffed. They're working with, very little training. And it's all because they don't want to give the money to do the stuff that they need to do. I mean, if they had backup, if they had the training, they wouldn't be running around terrified of every little thing and just going around shooting people.
No.
I mean, it's crazy.
They also need to go ahead, James.
Sorry, but I have a friend that's pretty high up on the totem pole, and we've had several discussions in regard. He's works for the city. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, the discussion is what are the qualifications, and then they also have to have what's their prerequisites and their portfolios, and then what are they really looking for? And the argument we got into was, I don't believe, from what I've seen, that they want intelligent police officers. I think they want people that they're able to manipulate to do what they need them to do when they need them to do it. And you're right, Stevie. I don't believe they pay them enough, only because they give them just enough so that they're obedient and they're being appeased, but at the same time, which keeps them in that control mode of, I don't want to lose this job. I'm making just enough money to afford my house, my car payment, and get a couple of kids. But they're not going to pay them enough to where they can actually start doing things for themselves and being more productive on their own. I think it's the whole process that we see is just a giant process of control, and the cops are being controlled. I just truly believe that they don't want Harvard law students policing the fucking
I think I've said.
But everybody listened to Michael Wood, former Baltimore police officer.
Oh, I have. Yeah, he's great. Like we should definitely be doing everything he says when it comes to the policing because he has
talked
the
about
big picture.
the psychology test. He said they want someone. They don't want someone that's going to be nice. They want someone that's the total opposite to get on the force in that psychological test. Because I wonder why some people here in Philadelphia, I grew up with, I'm like, what the hell are you doing on the police force? And he wound up being federally charged for something, did time in federal prison. He's out now, but I was shocked that he was on the force.
Yeah, it sucks because a lot of them are really nice out of their uniforms.
But that's one guy that did time. I grew up with him. I was like, oh, he's a punk. He talks like a woman, always having gossip going on. And I was shocked that he became a police officer. And what got him in, running his damn mouth. And he got charged and locked up. It's crazy. He didn't do nothing violent, but just an example.
What's a starting salary for like? Does anybody know? I mean, I'm sure it varies across the country.
I think it's like 30. Over here, it's like 35. I can look it up.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at. Like some cities fund it more than others. Like my town does it. My town treats the police officers pretty well. So I would assume it's at least 40, but probably like 60,000 a year.
Right now tonight, we got a standoff up here in Philadelphia. Because some guy in not far from my area, he shot and killed his ex-girlfriend on the street. Shot her several times. She died. Now he up in another, way across town in another area, barricaded in the house. And the police and SWAT is out there. And it's been going on for more than 7 hours.
Fuck.
Did you guys ever see the video of the cop in, I think it was LA or it was some suburban place, and some kids walked across his front yard and he was off duty, like he was just at home, and some kids walk across his front yard, so he yells at them and then follows them after they get off his yard, and he grabs this 13-year-old and holds him, and he calls the police on this kid, and even though they're all the way down the street and away from his house now, and he's holding this kid by the collar, won't let him go. And then all his friends are like there, like saying they're not going to leave him alone. And then he ends up dragging the kid through bushes and everything. And whenever the kid's friends try to defend him from the cop pulls out his gun and starts shooting at all these kids.
I know. He didn't
see that video.
He drew his firearm and it went off. He didn't point it, but the problem is he had a concealed firearm and he pulled it out. It went off because he pulled the trigger out of panic and fear and just being a fucking idiot. But that guy,
he was a pussy scared of a 13-year-old.
Do you know what happened to that guy?
As of right now, he's still roaming free around the streets.
Fucked up, man.
Well, do you remember when in Philly a couple of years ago it was the Puerto Rican Day Parade here, and the woman, Spanish woman, she didn't throw the water bottle, but a water bottle was thrown and it hit a police officer, an African American police officer, and he turned around and sucker punched that woman. I know you guys had to see it because that went out worldwide. Nobody saw that?
I didn't. I heard about.
I mean, he sucker punched her. He got back on the force. He shouldn't be on there.
There's just no reason we should all, or some people obviously more than others, but go around fearing the cops. I mean, our taxes pay their salaries, and I haven't been pulled over in a long time, but the most recent one was I was picking Michael up at the airport, and it was dark, and there was construction, and I like went in the wrong lane or something on the where they had rerouted the traffic, and I got kind of stuck in between these cones, and I was like, oh crap. And next thing I know, there's a cop, and he just, I don't know, he was just a prick to me, and I thought I really wanted to tell him off, like, look, it was an accident, I'm not doing anything wrong, would you mind, helping me so I can back out or something? But he was just an arrogant prick for no reason.
And it's always going to be worse at the end of the month because they always have they have quotas for how many tickets they get, and they get extra money at the end of the month. So in the last like 3 days of the month, they're going to go out and try to give out as many tickets as possible. Like the first half of the month, you're like home free. You don't really have to worry about it unless you're being a complete idiot out on the road. But for like the last week of the month, you really like have to be on your guard whenever you're driving around, like, and that there's like a speed trap or something like that, because they're just looking for any reason to pull you over at that point.
Right. But I mean, if I had my old Volkswagen with a missing hubcap, or if I were a person of color, I mean, it just made me, it made me really realize, like, wow, I'm super uncomfortable in this situation. And, he's being a jerk to me. I can't imagine what it's like for other people in different situations.
But honestly, it's a poll out there. More whites have been killed by cops than African Americans. But they're not going to tell you that, because what makes the mainstream media go crazy?
They want
a black cop killing a white cop killing a black person.
Mm-hmm. And they don't want to burst like white people's bubble, because right now everything depends on white people ignoring the problem. They don't want to bring us in to fight with the black community to solve this, because as long as it's a black problem, we're not going to do anything to fight it. And that's what you're seeing right now. That's exactly what you're seeing right now.
Well, that's why my dad always that's why whenever I tell my dad I don't want to get my license, because I don't have to worry about cops, pulling me over for any reason at all whatsoever. He tries to tell me that I'm white, so I'll be fine. And it's like, no. It's like, that's not how it works. There was a 17-year-old in California, in LA, that was shot and who was white. And, there's white kids shot all the time. I mean, there was just that one who died a few weeks back whenever the cops flipped out over a dog and they just started shooting all over the place. And the one shot himself in the foot. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that kid was white too. And it's just like, it happens all the time. And there's and it's white adults. It's like my uncle had a run-in with a highway patrolman a few weeks back, and the highway patrolman was trying to say he smelled pot in the car. And it's like, there'd never, ever been pot in my mom's car, ever. Like, that is just, it doesn't happen. And my uncle hadn't done that since college, and he's in his 50s now. So he obviously wasn't in the car. And but it was the end of the month. So the cop was insistent, and he was like testing my uncle, and my uncle was like, go ahead, you can call it back up, you can search the car, do whatever you want.
And it all goes to the same purpose, because it's all that way they can control the black vote too, and they can give lip service to saying, well, we're going to end police brutality. Look at Hillary Clinton parading around those poor women who lost their children to police violence, and then you can forces you like, well, I guess if I don't want to get shot and killed in the street, I guess I'm going to have to vote for this hack, and guess what? They didn't fall for it this time. Hillary didn't get the vote. And you know what? I want to show y'all something. This is right here. Here we go. This is right here in my community.
Hey, Stevie, where's Jessica Lynch?
He's got a gun. He's pulling a gun. He's not even on duty. He's pulling a gun on this guy because they're trying to move a trailer in. And his mom didn't like it. And he's pulling a gun on people. That guy needs to be kicked off the force.
I don't see it yet.
I mean, honestly, it's not that radical of an idea to say that police officers shouldn't even have guns on their person. I mean, in other countries, the cops are trained well enough that if they run into someone with a gun, they know how to handle it. And if they really do get in a firefight and they need backup, well, then they call for backup, and backup comes with a gun. That's how it works in most European countries and a lot of Asian countries. It's like we could easily do that here. And, I mean, the cops have tanks, for God's sakes. It's not like, anyone but the Crips could stand up to them. It's like it's
one
blows
thing
my
I
mind.
can say here in Philadelphia. I don't know. The police officer here, they may have that militarized stuff, but they didn't have it during the Philadelphia Convention. They was just in regular uniform with their bulletproof vests on and helmets and stuff. They didn't look scary. And they was integrating and talking with people and joking and laughing and stuff. But in all the other cities I've seen, they look like they're ready for freaking war.
Oh, that's because they are. That's war on us. I mean, they're an invading army. They're an occupying army.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because the military-industrial complex wants to keep making weapons, and they keep the budget high so that the United States government and the military has to buy all these guns every year. The military is like, well, we got too much. What are we going to do with the old ones that are still fine and in working condition? Well, we'll sell it to the police forces at a bargain basement price. That way they can all be all stocked up for the war on drugs. That way they can go and bust in on black neighborhoods.
And also the military-industrial complex want to keep black and white divided who wants the same thing.
Yep. Of course. Okay, James.
And we have to wake up to that.
Yeah. All right, James is heading to bed. What do you want?
Yeah, I got to do a couple things. I don't immediately go to sleep because I have to take care of a few things. Brush my teeth, put on my mask. Cucumbers. I think it's cucumbers, right? For cucumbers. my ex, I was hanging out with my daughter. My ex was there, and she was slicing up cucumbers, and I was kicking back on the couch. And she comes up and she lays these cucumbers on my eyes. And I'm all, tell me that's something that's not going to kill me. So the cucumbers, they help your eyes. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Okay, so here, everything's become a business. Prisons have become a business. The cops have become a business. The war is a business. It's all an economy. We don't build anything anymore. I just say the only way that we can get out of this, the best way we can get out of it, or just to get them to see or look in our direction or pay attention to us, is go third party. I mean, no matter what we say or what we do, we've got to start putting people in key positions legislatively, judicially, executively, that actually give a shit. It's not about business. They're about people. They're about substance. They're about, the planet, making sure that we're not continually making ourselves look so gigantically idiotic to the rest of the planet and any alien fucking driving by. Anyway.
Hey, I have a funny to tell before you go, and then I'm actually going to let Stevie take over. But I
like that guy. I used to love watching that show. I don't like those
guys. Cops pulling you over. I have my Russian friend because I'm a Putin apologist. This is a hilarious story though. She told me that she's been here 25, and her parents came over maybe 5 years ago, and her husband's parents. But she had to tell her mother. She told me that if you get pulled over for speeding or something, you don't try to pay off the cops. For real. This is what she had to tell her mom. Like, apparently that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, that's what people try to tell us, that we're lucky because the level in other countries is every time you get pulled over, you have to pay a bribe to the cops. But the thing is, the bribe that you pay to the cops in those countries is what keeps them from killing you, and it's way cheaper than what you pay in our country, because in our country you pay with either your life or your car or all the money on your person, whereas these countries it's like, all right, give me the $20 and I'll let you go, you know. Like, and if you honestly have nothing, in a lot of these countries they will just send you on your way. They might they might crack you over the head and then send you on your way with a bruise or something. A lot of these countries, if you don't have anything on you, they do just send you on your way because they know you're gonna.
All right, so I got to tell you a quick story and I'll leave. So me and a few friends went down to Tijuana. This is long time ago. And a buddy of mine said, keep an extra bottle of something good, like Belvedere, not tequila, like Maker's Mark, or something like a good liqueur or, liquor inside your trunk, and some Playboy magazine. I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? Because he said, I know, right? David knows what I'm talking about. Because the the cops down there, they come up to you, they harass you because they're hoping they can get a few bucks out of you. It just used to happen all the time. Well, how much money do you have? Because they don't want to take all your money, but they'll ask you for money. They'll go, so the ticket, I think, just for you guys, we weren't even doing anything. I think what we're doing was kicking back. I think we're smoking pot. I'm not sure. Anyway, so we had Smirnoff. That's all we could get was some Smirnoff, and we gave the guy some Smirnoff, and we offered him some Playboy magazines. One of the guys, he goes, I have that one. Get out of here. I swear that happened. But the thing is our pot he didn't touch us for that. It was in the center console. It was like stunk everywhere. Didn't touch us for anything. It was cool.
Where was this at?
This is in Tijuana, just past the border of California.
Well, next time I go to Tijuana, I'll be sure to take my grandfather's stash of 1960s Playboy magazines.
Oh, fuck. You better not get rid of those.
Yeah, those are probably worth a fortune.
Exactly.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Make sure the cops are like 80 years old then.
Yeah. All right, I'm done.
But
Bye, guys, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Night, James. Aloha.
Hey, James. Oh Lord, how y'all doing?
Good.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm drunk on endorphins. I'm like so tired. Let's see. I went to sleep at 4 o'clock, and then I was sleeping and I woke up because my wife's landscaper started mowing the grass at 8 o'clock, and then for some reason I got some kind of phone call from student loans or something, and that just kept me up for the rest of, basically for the rest of the day. And then I did some I did one video, but if you ever like try to get interviews or do anything with people, don't try to do it when you're exhausted. Because I went to run some errands, and I went to the mall and I got a couple of things. I got this thermos for my trip called a Yeti, this big ass thermos thing, and then I couldn't find my car for like a half hour, so I got in the car, and then I think I was telling you guys that I was going to contact Sherry Honkala, and I found out that she was looking for a mechanic in Pennsylvania, and she posted somewhere on Facebook, hey, if you know anything, just text me at this number. I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to talk to people in Philly. I think Cheryl's still there. Hi. And, try to find out if I can find a mechanic. So I text her. I'm like, hey, I don't know if you know, blah, blah, blah. This is me. I support blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, I was like, oh crap, that was a private message, even though she posted the thing. And I tried to erase it, and it went through anyway. I'm like, oh God, I hope she doesn't think I'm a stalker or something. But and then I came to work, and everything was tiring. How you guys doing?
Okay.
We're doing okay.
What kind of work?
What happened to Darley?
Is he there?
To who?
Darley.
Is Darley still here?
Yeah, you said
I don't know.
There's him in there as a participant.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, but
I
he's
don't know
not
who
saying
that is.
anything. Maybe he took a nap?
Maybe he's more tired than me.
You might have just needed to step away for a second.
Yeah. But he hasn't said anything for a while, so I don't know.
I could be, I
No,
do
I'm
that
still
sometimes. I like.
Oh, there
I'm
he
still
is.
here. I'm just listening. I'm just
Oh,
listening.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's better not to say anything and just listen.
That's true. We all need to learn that one, don't we?
Hey, Darley.
Kelley, I thought you knew I work for the post office.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I do remember now. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. It's like a big long thing. I'm a union rep, and they're basically unilaterally getting rid of a ton of jobs, and it's a big thing. And yeah.
Gee, that's where Bernie wants us to do banking again.
Yeah. Well, I
can get money orders from the post office.
I listened to Steve Grumbine and Jamal last night, and I was really, really happy that I did. And
that was great.
All it did really was it pissed me off even more because it's basically we need people to have jobs so that they can buy stuff so that the money circulates. And they're trying to get rid of jobs.
Yeah, because all these retail shops is closing down stores now.
Right.
He makes a really good point about. I mean, I'm not good with economics, really. I mean, he makes a very good point for guaranteed jobs or whatever he called it instead of universal basic income. I mean, it's not too hard to understand how that can cause more inflation. So I thought that was really interesting. I would like to hear more of what he has to say about that so I can understand it better.
When James comes back in, tomorrow, whatever, I want to find out when or if Hawaii has started the universal basic income plan, because they were planning on doing it in Hawaii. I want to see if it works out with them.
I mean, I'm not.
I thought they passed that.
They did pass it, but what they passed it so that they could quote unquote take a look at it and do a test case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against the concept, but I'm also smart enough to realize that I'm not smart enough to understand, complex economics and how, I just try to read people that know better and what are the results of that.
Oh, don't worry. Economics isn't that complex. It's mainly just bullshit.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Because I know Finland passed the universal income, and to help people that's unemployed, you get, I forgot how much it was a month. It was a good significant amount, like maybe $500 or $600, and you still keep it even if you get a job.
Right. Well, my thing is, do they tax the universal basic income?
No, because it's the exact opposite of taxes. It's money given from the government.
I don't have no problem being taxed with that because you're getting something extra. It's just how much tax.
Well, the thing is, the universal basic income itself isn't taxed. You'd be taxed with the income you earn for your actual job, like if you have one.
Okay.
And it would mainly be funded through corporate taxes.
Okay.
Right.
Well, the thing that bothers me about taxes is that the way James explained or Steve explained it rather.
I think they're brothers. It's easy to get them confused.
I know, with the hair and the whole thing.
Okay.
When Steve was explaining it, it was basically kind of a way to incentivize people to work, basically. Well, my thing is, if that's the case, why when I work longer hours and I work more, I get taxed more? That is a de-incentive to me. It's like, why would I work, twice as hard and get almost the same pay? And I understand you're going to get it, you're going to get it back, but it's that, I don't know.
Well, it's the same thing with any, welfare or food stamp. You're punished for working more. It just
But
doesn't.
the thing is, the incentive to work, it shouldn't be I want to work so I get this much money. It should be the corporations need you to work so they'll pay you fair wages. Because right now we have the employers economy, where the employers have all the people they need, where they can pay everyone slave wages, and everyone's so desperate that they'll take it. What we really need is we need the universal basic income. That way, instead of a job interviewing you to see if you're the right fit, we'll be interviewing the employers to see if they'll provide the right working conditions for the employees. It's like everyone's in a union. You have a universal basic income, and then on top of that, you can also have additional unions, like for industries. And it's like, well, that's what we need. Is we need people to control the employers, not the other way around. We need more employee-owned companies, like where each employee has a share in the company, and where at least half of the board has to be employees, like in Iceland. In Iceland, that's a law. Half of the board of a corporation or a company has to be factory floor employees. And like mid-level,
right? As long as they are accountable, whether it's a supervisor or whether it's employer or employee, you have to be invested and accountable with what you do. I mean, I'm all about balance. It's like, if you're all for the employees, you might not get the work done. And if you're all for the employers, you might not get the work done because the employees are like just exhausted. So, there should be a balance, and everybody should be invested in what they do.
Yeah.
But I would
Postal
like
Service,
to know the unemployment rate in Finland with them doing this. I didn't see that.
But the thing is,
I know it's low. I know it's low.
Yeah, I figured that because it's high in the United. It's high to me. It's high in the United States. I don't believe those rates that come out through the government.
Yeah, that's the unemployment. The official unemployment rate is complete bullshit. They changed how they calculated it several times under Obama to make it look like he was doing a good job, when in reality it's really been getting worse since the recession of 2008.
And
that's underemployment too.
And I can't get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But
and all I do, I was always taught. My aunt always told me, learn how to type. You can get a job anywhere in the office, and I can't get a job. I apply, can't get a job. I don't know what's going on.
It's not. I'm having that. Well, I did have that same problem when I had a license, but I mean, I never had a problem getting a job, and now it's like I'm on some kind of blacklist or something. Like, what's going on? I can't get a phone call back or nothing. It is ridiculous.
Yes, I am the same way. And somebody said, well, sure, you might as well retire. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking retire. I want to get up every day and get up out of here and go to work in the morning like I used to. I loved it.
Hillary's getting back.
In all honesty, if I could hire you guys to talk to my members, I would, because the people who work here in the United States Postal Service, a lot of these guys don't appreciate what they have. They really, really don't. They have a decent paying job with not in the beginning with the benefits, but with the potential of really, really good benefits and really, really good sick time, annual leave, cost of living increases, and if you're working for the Postal Service in Pennsylvania or in West Virginia, you got it. I mean, you're doing pretty well. So
yeah, well, my postal lady that comes here, she is very, very nice, unlike others that come. But my regular, she's great. She's great. But if you go to the post office in your area, they be in the back in the room. You come to the window and they back there talking, playing music and things like that. It's like, what the hell? What the fuck? I'm here. I'm a
that's
customer.
lack of supervision. Yeah, that's lack of supervision. But the thing is, it's gonna get worse because the amount of people are gonna, it's slowly gonna go away due to attrition. Now that stuff where they're playing around, trust me, that's gonna go away very, very quick. They're not gonna put up with it.
Darlene, were you gonna say something?
And then my thing is, like, I turned over because I had a phone problem with you guys when I was on with you Sunday. But I turned my old box over to Comcast, and they gave me a new one. And I had to call and get it set up. And when I called, I'm like, you got to go through AI intelligence first with this woman typing and shit. And then you get this guy, and I'm like, okay, I know it's a foreigner. He's not here in the United States. And I was on the phone with him for an hour. He really did not help me. So I told my husband, I'm going to call back and get somebody different. And I got someone that was from the Philippines. And he helped me. But why? Comcast said they open 24 hours. So your 24 hours is the workers overseas, and you don't have nobody in the U.S. working 24 hours?
Well, that's probably, they don't have to worry about certain labor laws in the Philippines. They don't have to worry about, giving them breaks. They don't have to worry about, overworking them. They don't have to worry about minimum wage. I don't know how much they have to pay them. I'm sure it's not that much. So, of course, if you're a company and you have a workforce that you can use cheaper, of course you're going to do it. I'll be back in a minute. I have to clock out. I'll be back.
All right, guys. I'm gonna switch it over so Kelley can go for anything goes. Just give me a moment. The stream will stop for a bit.